Yes, that was just my entree.
Entree?
Entrance. Entrance.
Your palate is like a dustbin.
You know when they fatten up geese for foie gras?
Well, for what?
What's it? Foie... Look, what are you laughing at again? Foie...
Sounds like the mating call of a
What is it then? Foie gras.
Foie gras.
Foie gras.
Foie
Okay,
gras.
yeah, okay, foie gras.
Foie gras.
What's the name of a girl who's only got one leg?
I don't know.
Eileen.
This is Talk Sport, and we are the two Mikes, and it's time to say a very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, so good morning to you, Mike. Good to be back on the midnight hour.
It is indeed, even
midnight
though it's
hour
actually
plus
1 o'clock. Yeah,
I was going to say
it's midnight somewhere. How are you feeling? Because you haven't been too well lately, have you?
I've been
I thought you might not make it out of Cardiff, I have to say.
Well,
apart from in a box.
Yeah. Really? That's funny, is it?
Yeah, I had the old funeral directors on standby for you.
Yeah. You know, on the way up there,
Down there?
No, up there, on the journey to Wales.
Yeah, it's down there. You go down to Wales, you don't go up to Wales.
No, I go...
No, you go down to Wales.
No, I don't go down to Wales unless I'm in Chester. If I'm in London, I go up to Wales because Cardiff is north of London.
I don't think so.
Of course it is.
It's completely on the same latitude.
No, it's not. Bristol's on the same latitude and then Cardiff is above it.
You think Cardiff is north of Bristol?
Of course it is.
Really?
Of course it is,
Really?
you idiot. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen.
I'm not sure you're right about that.
Excuse me, let me tell you this, right? Now, I complained...
You don't want to be coughing and spluttering all the way. I had to put up with this all last week, right?
No.
I had to put up with it at the weekend. I had to put up with you kind of moaning and groaning about how you might not make it through, how you haven't been able to sleep.
I've been on a pretty high-intensity dosage of...
for many years.
No, here. Of Benylin.
Benylin?
Yeah, Benylin.
Now, you shouldn't drink too much of that. That was one of the problems you had at the Express. You became addicted to Benylin.
Hang on.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, Benylin.
Yeah.
These sort of flu powder things, which have got blackcurrant in them.
Beecham's,
that's right. Beecham's blackcurrant. A licorice...
all sorts.
No. I do like those, but no. This is organic licorice, like fluid. You know what I mean?
What?
It's taken from the licorice tree.
Tree?
Yeah.
Where is the licorice tree?
Well, it's the licorice tree is a stalk, actually, isn't it?
The licorice stalk. Well, where is it?
It's a licorice root, actually. It's a root.
Where is it?
In Alabama, I think. I think you get licorice roots in Alabama. Right. But anyway.
Okay.
So I've got the Benylin, I've got the blackcurrant Beecham's, the licorice root.
Yeah.
Yeah. Organic, that
Bristol is actually south of Cardiff.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
Look, there.
No.
There's the map.
Let's have a look.
Bristol is south of Cardiff.
Bristol.
It's across the Bristol Channel, south of Cardiff.
Bristol. Hang on.
Look, you can see it there.
Wait a minute. I'll have a look here. Bristol. Nah, rubbish.
It's the word Bristol is below the word Cardiff.
That's only because they've written Bristol under the dot for the city, and they've written Cardiff above the dot for the city.
Well, look where the two dots are.
No, they're exactly the same.
No, they're not.
They are.
Well, whichever way you cut it, Cardiff is not.
Anyway,
north
I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Right.
Now, so I was going to say is a high intensity.
Anyway, so you've had a concoction of various supplements.
Yeah, with paracetamol.
You'd probably fail a drugs test if you're in the Olympics.
Yeah, I've been taking paracetamol. And
you've got to be careful with that, you know, because
I know.
it can make you woozy.
Well, also,
I
still take 16 tablets a day to keep my heart in shape.
Yeah.
And in addition...
Even though it's in better shape than it ever has been.
In addition, I've taken a combination of honey, lemon and sliced ginger.
Really?
Yeah, very strong stuff.
You can get addicted to that.
Can you?
Sliced ginger, yeah.
Well, it's very good. Anyway, the result of it is that actually I started feeling like I was on LSD. I started hallucinating. What's your problem?
Just the idea of you hallucinating is quite frightening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
what sort of things will you see when you're like being followed around by a 9-foot-tall rabbit?
No, nothing like that. But all of a sudden, the water in my bird bath disappeared.
Really?
Just you know.
You sure it wasn't those pigeons that knocked it over?
No. 1 minute it was there, and the next minute I blinked, and God blimey, it's all gone. You know, I couldn't believe it, and all that kind of stuff.
It may have been sucked out by the warmth of the sun,
but not in the space of the blink of an eye. That's
really?
What I'm saying. Yeah, and weird things started happening. Letters started coming through the door, and all this kind of stuff.
Letters?
You know? Yeah.
Well, I thought you'd had that all sealed up.
Oh, no, I haven't had that sealed up. They, people who...
So have you got a letterbox?
Yeah, I've got a letterbox, yeah. And
so they have to be able to squeeze it around the cage-like
no, there's
apparatus.
No.
Yeah, there is. I've seen it.
No, there's an opening for it. Don't worry about that. But
Not
what I'm
worried.
saying is that shouldn't really happen on a Sunday, should it? But anyway, that's about
No.
that. Anyway.
Well, unless it's sometimes stuff delivered by hand, by the... there's estate agents always putting things through your door.
No.
Well, what sort of letter was it?
It was a letter about... I'm just trying to remember now. It was a letter about, I don't know, some new deal on... some mountain gear or mountain climbing gear or something, Anyway,
have you been ordering stuff from
no. But anyway, so I'm on the road back to recovery, or the road to recovery. But getting back to going to Cardiff, right?
Yeah.
I'll make it on a level plane. I won't say up or down. I'm going to Cardiff,
Yes.
right? And of course, when I got to Cardiff, I complained to the guy at the station in Cardiff that. I wasn't alerted on the train because I was in first class, and I wasn't alerted by the guard to the magnificent sight of going across the Bristol Channel.
Yes.
Into Wales.
The Severn Estuary.
Yes.
Yeah, because funnily enough, when we drove back, because
Yeah.
we didn't have the executive producer in the car on the way over, just me and Emma, when we drove back, I said to him, you really want to look out for the beautiful vista that you're about to see.
Yes.
Because I wasn't sure quite where the train
Well,
crosses.
that's right.
But I think it crosses north of the old crossing.
No, I found
Does it-
out.
Does it go in a tunnel?
Well, I was just about to say to you, I said, I wanted to see this magnificent view. I said, when you go over the River Mersey, I said on the Runcorn Windus Bridge, I said when you go across the Thames, and all this kind of stuff. And they said, oh, no, sir, you will not see that on this train. I said, why not?
Why not?
He said, because, do you remember going through that very long tunnel? I said, yes, I did. I said, I wonder where that went to. He said, that goes underneath the water.
So it goes underneath.
Not above it.
So that would explain why I've never seen a railway bridge over the Severn.
That's why it would explain why I looked out the window for 20 minutes.
You see, in that case, you've missed something quite spectacular, and that's a good reason to drive the next time, because it's a fantastic, beautiful bridge.
Anyway.
And it is a wonderful vista.
I have to say...
Even when the tide's out.
I have to say, when we got to Cardiff and we got to the Holiday Inn, very nice hotel, thank you to the people there, except they didn't...
Well, we did pay for it.
Yeah, but they didn't give me a wake-up call either on Sunday.
Why not?
Well, I don't know. I asked them
Did you
3
ask for a
times.
wake-up call?
3 times. I
Why?
wanted a wake-up call.
Well,
because
just set your own alarm.
I do, but I like emergency procedures and all that kind of stuff. Backup and all that kind of stuff, which you wouldn't even think about. Anyway, it didn't happen.
Well, no, I don't need a wake-up call because I'm not in a hurry to get out of everywhere I go.
But anyway...
I was, I was going to luxuriate in my room for a little while and then go and have breakfast.
Yeah, then I saw your eyes
What do you
light
mean,
up as we realised there was a wedding going on.
I don't
at
know
the
why you went
hotel.
on about this. I mean, I've never seen a more ugly collection of people in my life. The idea that I would in some way target these people, that I would in some way target any of them for any kind of Rogerization activity,
Just
it's a
repeat
shocking
that,
thing
will
to
you?
say.
A wedding party in a hotel in Cardiff, and
Yeah.
you've just described them as never seen a more ugly collection of people in my life.
It's true.
What a dreadful thing to say. I disassociate myself that absolutely completely. I really do, honestly.
I think you should start chewing some more licorice.
No. That's
the roots.
a disgraceful thing to say. There were a group of young men, a group
would
of
you
young
like me
ladies.
to recount what you said when we first saw them?
What?
Would you like me to recount what you said when we first saw them?
All I said was, I hope they'll have a really nice day.
No,
Look
that
at
is
them,
not
aren't
what
they
you
happy?
said. No, that is not what you
What are
said.
you going to claim I said?
I'm not going to claim anything. As you know, there's one person in this room that constantly tells lies. There's another one who constantly tells the truth. Now,
I'm the seeker of truth and justice, so I'm the truth one.
What time did you send out a tweet tonight saying you were just arriving at TalkSport Towers?
I said soon to arrive.
Yeah, when did you send that out?
Just soon before I
You
arrived.
sent it out at 10 to 11.
Soon before I
When
arrived.
did you arrive?
Wasn't long after.
Not long.
Not long.
When you would say, what long would blame, like an hour from then?
Oh, no. Probably
No?
a few minutes after 11, I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
You were here a few minutes after 11.
Well, hang on. I was actually constitutionally walking around the building outside when you arrived, so I got here before you, didn't I?
Why were the lights in your car still on then?
They weren't.
Yeah, they were.
No, they weren't.
They were when I drove up the street.
Oh, I went back to get one of my journals. That's right. Yeah,
okay.
I did. Yeah.
So anyway, what you said to me was, my God, were your words, I don't think I've ever seen a collection of people like this in my life.
No, I didn't say
Yes, you
that.
did.
No, I didn't. I utterly deny that. That's not the sort of thing I would ever say.
Really?
Anyway. Not the sort of thing I'd ever say.
Really?
What I said was, isn't it great to see so many people enjoying themselves so nicely? What you said was, wow, seems to be a lot of women looking for
Listen, I'm a great,
an opportunity here.
No, that's not true.
You
You see,
described
you make
it.
up stories about me, right?
You
all the
described
time.
it
constantly.
As a woman-rich environment.
No, I did not.
And now you've just insulted them by saying a collection of ugly people.
You don't have
What a disgrace.
You have no clue about even what you say.
I hope
when
the
you
bog
say
cleaner's listening and will spread the word to his fellow countryman, I'm telling you.
The bog cleaner, as you rather unfortunately describe him, wasn't able to make it on Saturday night.
No.
So sorry we didn't see you, Derek, but we would have had a place for you at the front of the auditorium had you been able to be there. Now, sadly, we're out of time. So you'll have to keep quiet for 5 minutes, go and have some kind of hallucinogenic drug intake, and we shall talk to you very shortly. We are the Two Monkeys. To say that has got to be one of the best national anthems of all time.
Now, is that Land of My Fathers?
Yes.
So I told you.
It's a fantastic. It's just a very stirring song, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it gets me again. This thing about the Welsh language and all that. When I'm standing on the station platform Sunday morning, all the announcements are made in Welsh and they're made in English.
Yeah.
But nobody in Cardiff speaks Welsh.
Well, no, that's not true, actually.
Very few people do.
That's not true. No,
very
because
few.
No, you're wrong. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Because the Welsh Language Act changed that. It was true to say that many years ago, but since the Welsh Language Act came in, they now teach Welsh at school. So,
Why?
in fact, I had a friend.
Why?
Because it's part of the Welsh Language Act.
But it's like teaching Latin in England.
No, you're wrong.
They used to speak Latin in England when the Romans were here. Nobody speaks it anymore.
You see, you are locked and trapped in a prison of your own making. It's very, very good. There's a very good reason to learn how to speak Welsh. Do you know why?
What?
Well, since you know everything, why don't you tell me why?
No, you're about to tell me, so I'm not going to steal your thunder.
Because, you can't ever steal my thunder. Well, the reason is that because there are two places you can get a job. The Welsh Assembly, right, where everything is produced in Welsh and in English.
Yes.
Where everything is said in Welsh and in English.
Yes, that's a manufactured situation,
yes,
obviously.
Yes, it is, but still a good reason to learn to speak Welsh.
Yeah.
And also, you can work at the BBC, because BBC Wales has a massive operation, which is also... Yeah, you can say it's manufactured, but the point is two of the public sector sort of...
but they're public sector.
But that's the situation that they have rather...
This is ridiculous to me.
They have very cleverly... actually recreated the Welsh language when it was probably about to die. And actually, one of the things that's lovely about going to Cardiff, and, my daughter hadn't been there for many years, because I used to take her over there, as I said, to buy copies of the Welsh Mirror when I was in England,
Yes.
And, you arrive, you come down Castle Street, the castle's on your right-hand side, you look down Westgate Street, and you see all these Welsh flags, and you get to Wales, and you know you're in a different country.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
It's a bit like Scotland, people are very proud of their country, and I think you shouldn't poo-poo it.
But we don't need the Welsh Assembly, because it's another tier of government.
Well, that's not true.
If you look at its track record, it's hopelessly inefficient. I don't know who's in charge of it, because I don't take an interest in Welsh politics, but it doesn't work. To the extent...
I don't think you can say that with any actual veracity.
Well, I read political reports all the time which say that the way that the health service in Wales is run is so poor.
Certainly, that's true.
They send.
Listen, I'm not going to defend any of it. All I'm saying is
they send people from Wales to England to make sure they get better treatment.
All I'm saying is the fact is that they have by gerrymandering, if you like, the way that the Welsh language has now become part of Welsh culture again.
And also
they've recreated it as a language, and they've recreated a job base for it.
And all it does is perpetuate overspending and crass inefficiency to pander to. What's going to happen next?
Yeah, but crass inefficiency exists everywhere in this great UK of ours.
You know what'll happen next? Exactly the same scenario, exactly the same blueprint will happen in Cornwall when the Cornwall people start saying we want our own language and all that kind of own our own country. Having said that, everybody I met in Wales over the weekend was a lovely person, smashing people, great people. But as usual, all the situations, they are They are, what's the expression? Lions led by donkeys. That's what I think Wales is. I think the Welsh people are lions. I think the people who run Wales are donkeys.
Yeah, but I think the trouble is that, again, you're just trying to be populist and get people to go, oh, yeah, Porky's a great man, he hates all politicians, right?
No, I do.
As soon as you see a politician, you suck up to them. When I told you the other day that we've been invited to the House of Lords, you've seen your little eyes light up as if we could go there and become part of the establishment. You would love to be hanging around with MPs and politicians all the time.
I couldn't care less about them.
Yes, you could.
No.
Don't pretend that you're a man of the people. Anyway, let me read you some tweets.
Right, go on.
Apropos that.
Okay.
D says this, LSD distorts time perception and can even make you believe you're at work 3 hours early when you're actually in the pub.
No, I wasn't. I haven't been in the pub all day, honest to God.
Honest to God,
I have not. I've got to look after my voice at the moment, and alcohol is degenerative to the vocal cords, believe me.
OK, so here's one from Craig. He says, was the train conductor from Mumbai, or was that Porky's Welsh accent?
That was my Welsh. Not my Welsh, boyo.
Roy says this, Porky's already lobbying for winners and losers. The seeker of truth and justice. Is he still seeking?
Hey?
Hashtag pathological liar.
Am I still seeking what?
Are you still seeking?
Oh, I see. You mean truth and justice. Yes,
exactly.
Okay.
Chris says, by Google Maps, latitude London N51.5074.
Yeah.
Cardiff N514816. London is north of Cardiff by a small bit. Chris, you're a
Thank you.
You are a pedant.
Thank you.
No, he's a pedant. It is, and he's also from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, doesn't matter. He looked at the geographical figures to prove I'm right.
But generally speaking, when you go west, you don't say you're going up. You say you're going down.
I don't
like when I lived in the West Country, right?
Yes.
I went down to the West Country. I didn't go up to the West Country. And it wasn't a question of whether it was physically north or not. You go down because you're away from London.
Well, you may say it that way.
You go up to Birmingham.
I'm not sure I do. Now, I'll tell you something I need to talk to you about before we forget, OK?
Yeah, go on.
Our favourite newspaper, New Day, is no longer with us.
Yes, I'm so glad you reminded me. Yes, I'm so glad you reminded me, because when we were on last week, and we were unfortunate enough to witness the demise of, I would like to say a once great newspaper, but I can't bring myself quite to say that.
We witnessed the demise of a once rubbish newspaper which never got better.
Which lasted for 9 weeks. But you know what? Yeah. Actually,
Sadly,
you're always accusing me of having no conscience. I had a tinge of conscience at the weekend.
Oh, right? What about?
Because a friend of mine who works at that paper had posted something on Facebook, and she was away for the weekend in France and said, I suppose I'll have to come back on Monday and look for a new job.
Yeah. Well,
so, I mean, I suddenly thought to myself, because I was
funny you say that, because
why laughing?
Well, because one of the things we did at the end of last week was an imitation of a Bonnie Tyler song, wasn't it? And that just reminded me of another Bonnie Tyler song for your friend.
What's that?
I was lost in France.
Yeah, well,
when I heard newspapers closing, I was lost.
That's very
in
off the
France.
cuff and not bad, actually. Yeah, for anyone who hasn't heard it, by the way, and to want to know about the Welsh knowledge of Porky,
absolutely.
You've got to listen to the Welsh music quiz that he was
Absolutely.
giving. In fact, we might even play out the old the music quiz
I think we should
later on, because
it's a new audience.
There may be people who haven't heard it on the podcast. We were podcasting last week at the same time,
we were,
but some of the shows were a little bit shorter.
Do you think our current audience is way up on our relationship with the food critic, Jay Rayner?
He's not to be named.
Oh, is that right?
The man who must not be named has been replaced. The man who must not be named, who was formerly, of course, a member of the Beatles, has now been replaced by a new man who must not be named. But we'll catch up on that a bit later on.
Yes.
Because, in fact, I'll tell you what. In fact, we could do this now, I suppose, couldn't we? Do you know that when Hawksby and Jacobs picked up their show again today?
Oh, yes.
Or earlier yesterday,
fine show, that is.
They actually made a reference to it.
Oh.
Just to let you know that Craig Kent on the building site said actually the boys on the site with him all thought Andy's fact regarding the bag of sugar from was interesting. They liked it. So you're alone on that one. They like the bag of sugar.
Because they're carrying cement and
oh dear. That's very smooth. Who's this? Jay Rayner.
Next time. So that extension you want doing, I think it's just gone up about 50 grand.
Let me just tell you, I'd never do a Jay Rayner on you.
Well, that's excellent.
That's Gareth A. Davis. I mean, this story has gone around the world, let me tell you.
So it might become now part of the sort of, what can I say, the TalkSport dictionary?
I think it might do, yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Well, one of the things that I saw tweeted over the weekend was one of our followers, a very loyal one, saying, in days and weeks to come, people will say, where were you when the two Mikes interviewed Jay Rayner?
That's right, yeah.
Or, as we now know him, the man who must not be named. But just to get back to the New Day, one of the things that we said we would do.
Is it the bibliography?
The listography.
Listography.
Which is the 3 favourite things. Now, I think what we should do is ask people to tweet in suggestions. Yes, don't you?
Please, I do. That's a great idea.
Up until now, we've been looking at the new day to get inspiration for things like, unfortunately for them, when it was announced that the paper was shutting on Thursday, the listography was list 3 favourite things about your job, which was really, I thought, in bad taste.
Well, of course it is. The first one was, I haven't got one anymore from tomorrow. Second one, it didn't last long.
No.
And third one, will I get a reference?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've done things like list your 3 favourite books, So here's what we'll send you a little a little challenge. So tweet us at the 2 mics, please, with suggestions.
Yes.
And we're going to do this every night. For listography, it's called.
Yes, we are indeed.
Name your 3 favourite whatever it is, or just 3 things. I mean, some of them were very odd, weren't they? Like your 3 favourite birthdays, which we couldn't understand.
Just utterly bizarre.
So if you tweet us, and we'll come up with some ideas.
Indeed.
But the whole kind of man who must not be named thing has rumbled on in a way which none of us could have imagined. He gave an interview, to some Newbury radio station.
Yeah, apparently,
because he did a show there, and apparently he'd upset the people in Newbury some years ago by describing them as very boring.
So he went back to pay penance to
Well, he's doing a live show like we are.
How many people attending his live show?
Not that many. Not that many. I mean, if you could be bothered to go and look, people have drawn my attention to some theatres that he's going to, which have sold no more than about 10 seats.
Oh dear.
But I don't want to go on about him too much. But he gave an interview where he basically said he'd had a pretty bad week on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because an awful lot of our followers had monstered him.
That's right, yeah.
But, he had only himself to blame because his quote on Twitter after we interviewed him, which we did in a thoroughly professional manner, was to say, just been interviewed on TalkSport, I could hear the sound of knuckles dragging.
Yeah, no, that's not very nice thing to say. He also sent a very offensive note to our producer.
Yes.
Which was completely unwarranted. When you start insulting people who are doing their finest at their job and doing it very well, but you think you're a bit of a superstar and you've got a bit of a name and your mother was a big star, God rest her soul, in the newspaper business, I think you're a pathetic individual to... don't you?
Yeah, I do, but I think we might. I mean, as I say, I don't want to keep
throwing your
weight
weight around because you don't like the question. Some broadcasters, some broadcasters asked you when you've agreed to go on the show.
Typical Guardian Easter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now we're out of time again.
Yeah, but it's a very important issue. Very important issue.
Okay, well we've got lots to talk about.
Yeah, but hang on.
Well, go on.
Who said 6 weeks ago that I reckon Big Sam will make Sunderland survive?
Yeah. Well,
who said that?
About that?
Who said that?
I don't know. Who did?
I said that.
Did you?
I said that.
What, you mean you actually got something right?
I said that.
You got something right?
It was me who said it.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Well,
it could be, unfortunately, once again, at the expense of Everton.
Well, it could well be, but nobody cares what happens to Everton now because, I mean, Everton have got nowhere to go. They're not going up. They're not going anywhere in the top 4. They're not going down. They're in no man's land, and that's pretty much where they should be. This is TalkSport. Sport, we are the 2 mics. There will be a podcast coming out, of course, a little bit later on. It's winners and losers. Currently 1.5. So very finely poised. Because what I was thinking is that because this is a rather shortened episode, it looks like we might have to finish it next week. So these could be the last 2 games.
Sorry, what do you mean a shortened episode?
Well, because we agreed it would end at the end of the season.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Unless you want to keep running it through the Euros, which we could do.
Yes, we could do that. I think we should do that.
Should we keep it running through the Euros? Okay. Because the only reason I said that is because if there's only 2 more games, technically it could end in a draw.
Yes.
Because one of us could win this week and one of us could win next week.
Yes, that's true.
But now that we've extended it, then that'll be fine. Now, I've got a few different suggestions for listography.
Excellent.
Shall I just read you a few of them out? And then
Please.
You can pick one.
Okay.
There's a few here, actually. Let's see. James says, how about 3 favourite things about the end of the regular football season?
Right.
Mark the Taxi says, your 3 favourite food critics.
Right.
Elliot says, this might be nice, list the 3 favourite things about each other. Complete honesty only.
Yeah.
Ernie says, how about doing a list on your 3 favourite stories in the newspaper world?
Yeah, well, ever, or...
I guess so.
Yeah,
I mean, these people aren't any better than a new day. I mean, you have to interpret them.
Yeah.
Name your 3 favourite purchases.
Oh, that's not bad.
3 favourite mics. Another one on three favourite critics. 3 men whose wives have been sullied by Porky. That's probably a little bit too specific.
I think so.
Your 3 favourite guest topics, says Becky. I'd still like dinosaur chickens.
Okay. Right.
And that's about it. So what do you fancy out of that?
Out of that lot, I think the one that I could make most interesting would be the purchases.
Your 3 favourite purchases?
I think so.
Okay, well, should we give you a bit of time to think about it?
Well, I think we should do that in the next hour.
Okay.
Listen, can I talk to you about the bowling ground, please, which is West Ham's place?
Yes.
I mean...
Apparently they're playing the last game ever there tonight.
Well, every game's been the last game this season. Well, when Everton went there, it was the last game against Everton.
Well,
when they played the last FA Cup tie.
I must have misheard.
Against Manchester United.
Well, they had 2 last ones against Manchester United, didn't they? Because they had the one...
they've got one tomorrow as well.
Yeah, but they had the one...
Today, rather, yeah.
They had the one that was the first one, and then when they had to have the replay...
That's right.
It was another one. And it's just been going on and on forever.
What I'm saying is, somebody's worked this beautifully, PR-wise, and they've discovered that it was such a quiet day today, really, as the season's running down now, wasn't much to do. So they brilliantly engineered a day with Sky TV down at the bowling ground, which was wonderful, really, and everybody was there, and Mark Noble was, brilliantly presenting the case for West Ham and all kinds of stuff.
And did we not speak to John Hartson last week, who's at the bowling ground? Right. I think Drive is coming from there with him and Adrian Durham, I think.
When is that, tomorrow?
Today, this afternoon.
I see, okay, yes, brilliant. Yeah. Oh, I see, ahead of the game, yes, of course, good, But the only thing I would say is, whilst it's, it's well worth commemorating the fact that it's the last game and all that kind of stuff, and it's going to be the last season.
Well, it would be if they hadn't done it all season, as you say.
Yeah, but this is what I'm about to say. I don't remember any of this massive fuss around, for instance, Highbury going.
No.
Now, with the greatest respect to West Ham, I think West Ham have got a bigger future than they have a past, if you see what I mean.
Yes,
because,
I see what you mean, yeah.
I mean, they have, of course, they've had very distinguished moments. They've won the FA Cup on a number of occasions, won Cup Winners' Cup. They've had the 3 leading players from the 1966 World Cup team.
Yes.
And a huge amount of heritage to be very, very proud of.
Yeah.
But I think that their best years are still ahead of them.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, it's definitely for them as an organisation
it's a terrific
and as a corporation.
Terrific move.
This is the big step, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Terrific move. 54,000 season tickets. That's beyond belief, that.
Have you seen a little story in The Guardian this morning where David Gold, who speaks to us on quite a regular basis, isn't he? He says the stadium deal will profit taxpayers.
Well, Mr. Sullivan explained all that when I was watching on the telly today, and he said things like the catering deal and all that is much more beneficial to the taxpayer than it is to West Ham and all that kind of stuff. But anyway,
how does that work exactly, though?
Well, because they are tenants, they only get a percentage of the turnover in certain aspects of the ground and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but how does that benefit the taxpayer?
Well, because the taxpayer gets 80% of the revenue, I think, from the catering and all that kind of stuff.
What I think he means, though, is that the reason, this is what this piece suggests, is the reason it's beneficial to the taxpayer is because it's not going to become a white elephant stadium, and therefore the taxpayer won't have to...
but he's been saying that, but that's true. That is true.
So what he said is that they won't have to put any more money in.
No, that's the core of the argument. The core of the argument is don't let the stadium go to rack and ruin.
Yeah.
Now, just let me finish, please. What I was about to say was that I do not remember anything like this sort of fuss surrounding Highbury closing down.
No.
Now,
I mean, I suppose Arsenal fans will say that they made quite a bit of a fuss at the time. But
there wasn't a day-long programme of television.
But is that not just the change in the coverage of these things now?
Well,
because
it must be
a few years ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It must be that. And also, of course, remember that it wasn't quite the same story because Arsenal were moving to a stadium they're paying for themselves.
Yes.
So, in fact, it was part of the...
I think there's part of that as well.
Part of the procedure of the way that Arsenal grew. And also, Arsenal were a very rich and successful club at the time. But all I would say is that, of course, West Ham have the ghosts of great players past and great moments past, which will echo, around the stadium tomorrow night, or tonight, I should say. But my goodness me, if you think of the heritage of Highbury Stadium, where, Boy Bastin played, where he was the great Scots guy with the long shorts. Alex James played, Boy Bastin.
Charlie
George, absolutely, great names.
Ray Kennedy.
Well, the double-winning team in 1971 were all those great players. Geordie Armstrong, George Graham and all that kind of... Bob Wilson played in goal there.
Yeah.
And but going right back to just the Second World War, when they were winning things hand over fist and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot more...
Thierry Henry played at Highbury, didn't he?
Yeah, of course he did, yeah.
I mean, the more modern-day stars...
More modern-day stars, definitely, absolutely. Right. Arsene Wenger, started his managerial role there.
People talk about it being, being the bowling ground with your Grace. I mean, Highbury was a fantastic stadium.
Oh, I loved
the clock end and all that.
Do you know what, mate? When the way I used to go, I used to get off. I used to sort of walk up from the tube station at Highbury and Islington.
Highbury and Islington, yeah.
The one near the Hen and Chickens.
Near the Hen and Chickens, yeah. Well, that's where you walk up Holloway Road.
Yeah, walk up Holloway Road. And the moment that... I didn't actually. I walked over the fields because I was going Holloway Road. I'd have gone to Holloway Road tube station. And
you could do that as well,
yeah. But anyway, the point I was making is... When I walked down into Avenel Road, because it was in a dip, and you saw the East Stand, you thought, this is such a legendary football location, you know what I mean? And I love those old stadiums. We knocked far too many of them down. And
you probably went there a few times with your former boss as well, didn't you?
I did, actually, Sir Nicholas Lloyd.
I wasn't going to mention his name.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what happened on one occasion.
He was a season ticket holder, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't. What he did is, the Daily Express bought 2 season tickets, which he said were... the paper's season tickets, they were the sports department season tickets. They were the most expensive, but funny enough, every week, the editor, Sir Nicholas, decided he would use them with his son Oliver.
Well, it was coincidental that he happened to be an Arsenal fan.
Well, the thing is, I had to go to
cough all the way through the show.
No.
You're going to make me ill, right?
No, of course not. Now, one time we were in a think tank somewhere, and somebody raised the aspect of which club had the most sort of local fans, because somebody had once again raised the spectre of Manchester United fans all living in Surrey and something like this. So,
which I have to say is a bit of a myth, isn't it?
Yeah, so Sir Nicholas said quite, stridently, he said, I think you should always support your local team. So, and he comes from Hertfordshire.
Originally somewhere like that. Is it Hertfordshire?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Like Woburn, around there?
Yeah, that's right, yeah, around there somewhere, yeah.
That was, he supported his local golf club up there?
Yeah, he was. And I can actually remember the name of the town now, but I'll tell you in a minute. We went there to a hotel that had a helicopter
sure it wasn't like Bedfordshire?
It was Bedfordshire. I think it was Bedfordshire. You're right. But I mean, that's kind of north of Arsenal, isn't it? But anyway, so to have a bit of a laugh, he said, you should always support your local team. So I then pointed out that one of my best friends in journalism, a guy called John Jinks, had grown up with Nicholas in the newspaper world when they both shared a flat in Chelsea, as young reporters on the Mail and the Times, respectively.
Yeah.
And he was then a Chelsea fan.
Right.
He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you used to be a Chelsea fan. He said, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm an Arsenal season ticket holder.
Right.
I said, no, you used to be a Chelsea fan and the season ticket belongs to the Daily Express.
Yeah.
He said, why are you telling me all this?
Right.
And I said, well, you said you should support your local team.
So was he a bit of a fraud then?
He was a complete fraud.
Yeah.
And then eventually I said, well...
But he was a mate of yours, though.
Well, it was a sort of strange relationship, wasn't it? And,
I don't know. You spoke about him as if he was a mate of yours.
And then I said, well, if you really should support your local team, where you live in Belsize Park, how are Camden Town doing? And everybody in the room burst out laughing. They thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
But he didn't like being humiliated like that.
No.
So I got the old in the fridge treatment for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called him something much worse than that.
Oh, dear.
I can't tell you what it was.
No.
This is Talk Sport.
Yes.
Sport, we are the two mics. Of course, it's West Ham against Manchester United tonight. One of the other stories on the back pages this morning is Louis van Gaal, our favourite, one of our favourite managers anyway, saying that he's staying at Manchester United, but then with a little subdeck underneath saying, as long as we win the FA Cup and finish up in the top 4.
Yes.
Which I suppose is not unlikely, but my worry about Manchester United is that they will probably lose tonight. That's my prediction, because that's the way this season's been going.
Yeah.
It's just the way the season's been going. I mean, West Ham lost at the weekend and looked like nothing like the team that they were. Well, it should be. And just when you expect something to happen, it doesn't. So I would say that since Man United beat West Ham in the FA Cup, they'll probably not win tonight.
Yeah, you may well be right. Even if he wins the FA Cup and finishes in the top 4, I don't think that should save him.
Yeah.
Because I still think it falls below the expectations of Manchester United.
But then that means Manchester United are becoming a little bit like Real Madrid, aren't they? So they're saying it's not good enough to win a domestic title. A domestic trophy, rather, and it's not good enough to be in the Champions League. We're going to get rid of you anyway.
Well, there's not much wrong with that. There's not much wrong with saying, look, unless we are winning titles and, real close contenders to the Premier League, our manager's not good enough. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Billy says this, I'm a Sunderland fan. For God's sake, tell Porky to stop saying Big Sam will keep us up. The Porky Dukes can still relegate us.
Well, the thing is... Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry about this.
Yeah.
I think it's the air conditioning in this.
I'm starting to get a bit worried. I'm going to have to start coming in wearing a mask.
Don't worry. What I was going to say is, Sunderland play Everton Wednesday night. Now, Everton in current form, they haven't won for 9 games, right?
Is it 9 games?
No, we've won once in 9 games.
Did you not win after you got knocked out of the cup? I thought you won the game after that. Remember after you got knocked out of the cup?
Yeah, we got knocked out.
I'm pretty sure you won the next
2-1.
game.
We then beat somebody at home 2-1. Was it Palace or West Brom? I got it wrong.
Yeah, it was Bournemouth, wasn't it?
It was Bournemouth, thank you.
Yeah. For God's sake.
No, I'm fine. It was
Call
Bournemouth.
for the paramedics.
Bournemouth 2-1. That's one.
We were keeping you going on brandy on Saturday night.
Yeah, that's right.
You want some brandy?
No, thank you. No,
I don't think you're allowed to, actually.
No, that was 1 in 9 games, right? And so on form, believe it or not, Sunderland should win. But
here's one from Asia. How about this? Spurs played their last game at White Hart Lane on Sunday, and there wasn't as much of a fuss about that. That wasn't their last game at White Hart Lane, was it?
Not that I know of.
But for this season?
Yeah, for this season.
But are they playing at White Hart Lane next season?
Yeah, but they're knocking down part of the stadium.
Yeah.
To start the rebuilding,
yes.
So it's going to be reduced capacity, I think. So it'll be the last game at White Hart Lane in its present form.
Yes.
What I was going to say is, you have to remember that it could be a very strange situation for Rafa Benitez, because he once called Everton a small club.
He did.
And on that occasion, I nearly
You've never forgiven him for that.
No, and I nearly got reprimanded.
Why you're always insulting him.
I nearly got reprimanded by the management here at Talk Sport because I went on air that afternoon when he said it. It was after an Everton-Liverpool game, and it was a 0-0 draw at Anfield, and he got all frustrated that they hadn't won. Called us a small club, and I went on air and said, I insulted Spanish people
you
like
did.
him.
Yeah.
And
but you see, that's
and
typical
I regretted
of you.
it.
Yeah, but that's typical of you because you have that kind of a snap response to things, and you turn ugly and nasty on people.
Yes.
Which is one of your many faults.
Well, that's true. But what I would say is that he's now been asked since, because of course he's depending on Everton to beat Sunderland on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And he's the manager of Newcastle, who need the result to stay in the Premier League.
Well, isn't karma
yeah. So he was asked yesterday.
Say the word.
He was asked yesterday, do you still think Everton are a small club?
Was he?
Yes.
Yeah, what did he say?
Excuse me. He said it's irrelevant and passed it on to his PR department.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was he on camera when he said that?
Yes, he said that question's irrelevant. Talk to, and there was a press officer sitting next to him.
He should have been cleverer than that, shouldn't he?
Well, what should he have said?
Well, he should have said, when you say things sometimes after a game, sometimes you say the wrong thing. Of course, Everton are not a small club. Let's move on.
I talk in the context.
That's what I would have said.
Yeah, I would have.
Why would you dredge up something I said so many years ago just to make a headline? Yeah. It's much better to be like that than to do that. Now, speaking of which, before we run out of time,
yes,
why don't you give us your 3 favourite purchases as per the listography of the... what should we call this? Should we give it a name?
We should call it the 2 Mic'sography.
No, we shouldn't. No, it should have something to do with the new day. We should kind of honour the title in some way. OK,
what about the bust dayography?
What?
The bust dayography.
The bust?
It's gone bust, the paper.
No, this is why you never write headlines. I'll come up with something, don't worry.
The closed down dayography.
The day after tomorrow. Anyway, why don't we just do your 3 favourite purchases?
OK, fine.
Number 1.
Excuse me. My most favourite... excuse me.
I don't think you're going to make this.
I don't know what's happened. It's the air conditioning. Yeah. Don't worry. Right, my favourite purchase of all time is, without doubt, my Rolex watch. Sorry, why do you think that's funny?
Yeah, it's just typical of you.
What?
Typical.
Why?
Well, because of course you think that's your favourite purchase.
Of course it is.
Because it's the most expensive thing you've ever bought.
Well, it's not, is it?
Well, isn't it?
No, because my second most favourite purchase of all time is my penthouse.
Yeah, but it's not a penthouse.
Well, it is to me.
All right. How much was it?
It's on the top.
How much? It's not on the top.
It's on the top, I'm telling you. I'm talking about my place in Surrey. It's got a roof garden.
Oh, not the one in Portsmouth, which isn't on the top.
Of course it's on the top, but it's in Gosport.
No, there's one above it, though.
No. It's stepped. It's in a stepped building. Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried.
Right.
Right, number 3.
Well, a bit difficult, that one, but I would say...
No, Olga from the Volga.
Yeah, I would say, to be honest, because I remember the immense pride at the time, I really do, my first ever Everton season ticket.
Uh-huh.
Because it cost me about... I'm just trying to remember what it was in those days. I think it cost me 6 weeks' wages.
Uh-huh.
You know,
the first one you bought?
Yeah, one I ever bought. That's right, yeah.
And what year was that?
That was when I was 19.
Oh, OK.
So it was in the early 70s.
Early 70s.
Yeah.
6 weeks' wages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think it did. It was very expensive, anyway.
Yeah.
But the immense side of pride, I carried that around with me everywhere. You know, like some people carry around their passport or their ID or their wallet.
A picture of their children.
Yeah, I carried around my Everton season ticket with me all over the place.
Did you keep taking it out and looking at it?
Yeah, I did,
actually. You couldn't quite believe you had it.
Yeah, I did.
Because your life has been like that. Your life has been an entire kind of collection of you validating your own existence by spending money on something and saying, look what I can afford to buy now.
Well, yeah.
That's what your Rolex watch is all about.
Yeah.
You love the idea of having a Rolex watch.
It looks good on me. It looks so good on me.
It doesn't look good on you.
It looks good on me. It's weighty.
Nothing looks good on you.
No,
the only thing that looks good on you would be a paper bag over you.
Oh, that's very kind, isn't it? It's weighty. What about my silver trousers that I wore at Cardiff?
Yeah, well, I prefer the purple ones you had on underneath.
I don't have any purple trousers.
They're purple trousers.
They're not purple.
People have been sending out pictures of you on stage and retweeting them all weekend, saying, "Did Porky get dressed in the dark?
Don't be ridiculous.
What on earth is he wearing?
Don't
you wore a
be
blue shirt,
yes,
which was hanging out over your trousers, which were purple. You wore those ridiculous kind of, shoes that look as if they're made for somebody who's got some kind of a foot problem.
Oh, that's nice. You then mocking the disabled
I'm not
already.
Mocking the disabled at all.
Disgraceful.
I'm not doing that. And a jacket which didn't match either. It's shocking. Yeah. Absolutely shocking.
I didn't have a jacket on. Didn't have a jacket on.
You didn't have a jacket on?
Not in the second half of the show.
You had a jacket on?
Not in the second half of the show.
You had a jacket on when you came on stage?
Yes, that was just my entree.
And your first ever Everton season ticket?
Yes, that's right, yes. How about that? Now, what about your three?
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
Well, they should come to your mind very instantly.
Well, they should.
What are your values in life?
Well, people will think this is a weird one, right? But I'm going to say my daughter.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
Because she was born.
But you didn't actually buy your daughter.
Well, this is why you'll think it's weird.
Yes.
But actually, I did in a way because obviously she's mine, fruit of my loins and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the point is that. I paid an awful lot of money to have her born in New York City, which happened to be where she was born.
Yes.
Happened to be where she was living.
Yes.
Because I've always joked with her and her brother, who was born in North London,
right,
that he didn't cost me any money at all. She cost me $10,000.
But you see, I think that's shocking to regard your daughter as a cost.
Yeah.
I think the audience will really condemn you for that.
Well, this is why I think some people
might
not get it.
What kind of a father are you?
Might not get it. So I didn't buy her as such, but but there is nothing more important to me.
Oh,
right,
but to say that to even list it on a cost basis, your daughter. You will be hounded to your grave for that one.
No, I won't.
Oh, you will.
No,
I'm taking off your list right away.
No, I'm not going to do that. Because there's nothing more important to me.
We'll let the audience make their mind up as to how moral they think it is for a man to list his daughter as a purchase.
Yeah, well, if you understood instead of trying to be populist and turn people against me for something which you don't understand and have never experienced, then perhaps you should listen to the amount of money breakdown that it was. I had to buy an insurance policy, right? Which meant that it was about $4,500
I bought a lot of
year.
Insurance policies in my life, believe me.
Yeah, but this is health insurance.
I bought some of them as well.
Yeah, well, I don't care what you've done about yourself. This is about other people.
Yeah,
and I know that you don't like sharing anything.
Yeah.
I then had to pay for various different tests that the gynaecologist wouldn't do unless you had a particular type of policy. Then there was, costs of the hospital.
All right, you've gone on and on
all
and
that
on
kind of thing.
This.
And I have something beautiful to show for it.
What else did you put on your list? Second and third?
Rolex. I think probably the next thing I would say that I really liked buying was when I first got a Neiman Marcus credit card in America.
What?
And I was able to go to Bergdorf Goodman's in New York City, one of the finest department stores in all the world.
Yes.
Very, very expensive place.
Yeah.
And I bought myself a fantastic outfit. It was sort of a houndstooth checked Hugo Boss suit.
Yeah.
A blue Armani shirt,
and
a red and black tie to go with it. It was one of my favourite outfits of all time. And because I was able to use this Neiman Marcus credit card at Bergdorf Goodman's, the same company, I thought that was brilliant. I think at the time that will cost about £1,000.
£1,000, like $1,500, $1,600.
Yeah. For
where did you go for the first time in this attire?
Where did I go for the first time in it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably just would go to work in it.
Walensky's?
You mean Smith and Walensky's?
Yes.
Not Polensky's.
No, Walensky's.
Walensky's, yeah. Smith and Walensky's, yeah. Well, see, I don't see. For me, it's not. But buying things is not really what I do. As you can see, buying things is not really my bag. It's not.
I think that's a very...
I suppose I could say as well,
Yeah.
the first property I ever bought in my life,
Yes.
Which was, of course, the New York apartment.
That's right.
Which I couldn't sell and which I rented to you, which then had to be returned to the bank on the basis that you moved out of it 3 months after you moved in.
Yeah, you didn't rent it to me, you rented it to the Express. And
No, I rented it... No, if I'd rented it to the Express, I would have got the money from them and I would have come after them.
Yeah.
I rented it to you,
I helped
and
you out
you let me down.
I helped you out for a few months, mate. I've never let you down in my life.
Really?
You've let me down a million times.
Oh, no, you've let me down twice.
No, I've never let you down.
Once when you let me lose my apartment in New York, the other time when you quit your job.
Well, you should have opened your mouth and gone to the boss and told him what a jerk he was, like I did. That's why I lost my job. You just stayed silent.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. Of course, there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Our next stop, for anybody who's not seen us yet, by the way, on the road, is Dingwalls, a very iconic music venue in Camden, North London, where I've been many times. In my youth, actually. It'll be a bit
it's
of a
not always
return.
been called Dingwalls, has it?
Yeah, it has.
Always?
Okay.
Since
its inception, which I believe was sometime in the sort of late 70s. They
that's
started
great,
it up.
yeah.
I saw the Ramones there. I saw a couple of... Coldplay have played there, although I haven't actually see them.
Yeah.
I mean, almost every rock band that you can think of, even U2 have played there. I saw Martha and the Vandellas there.
Wow.
Which was pretty amazing.
And now we're going to be on the stage there.
We're going to be on the stage. It's going to be great. It's June the 10th.
That's a Friday night, by the way.
Friday night, yes.
Yeah, we're making it Friday night this week, so you've all got the whole weekend to recover from a night of bladderation.
Yeah, well, it certainly will need probably quite a bit of time to recover. Now, how about this for a text from David, which takes you back to the old days of football.
Yeah.
Spare a thought, he says, for the away fans who had the misfortune to visit the Boleyn in the 70s, 80s and 90s. Trust me, the walk from the tube station to and from the ground was potentially a life-changing experience. Well, David, I went to a lot of football matches in the 70s in London.
Yeah.
I went to Crystal Palace a lot. I used to go to Tottenham quite a lot. Went to Arsenal, went to West Ham, went to Chelsea. And believe me, it wasn't much different anywhere else. It was the same terrifying experience for me as a sort of 12-year-old, being herded by police horses, one set of fans.
You're talking about the route from the tube station to the ground?
Yeah, in any of those places. Well, I'm not just talking about West Ham.
This very day, it's a pain in the butt. Because
No, but it's nothing like it was then.
No, I agree. But even now, when you come out, if you come out at the full whistle time, you have to make the most enormous walk down the road next to the tube station and then round a set of fences and then back up again.
He's not referring to that. He's referring
to people throwing bottles
at
you
the
and all
violence
sorts of things.
And the levels of hatred and the levels of kind of, general nastiness that went on.
Oh, yeah,
and,
that went on all over the country.
My dad stopped taking us to football in the end because it just got so hairy. But anyway, there's something I wanted to introduce to you, actually. And that was a story on the back page, I think it's of the Times this morning.
Oh, yeah.
In which they're saying...
Well, hang on, have we had your three favourites yet?
Yeah, I've just done them.
No, you've done your daughter.
Yeah.
And then your second one was...
And my second one was my suit.
Your suit. What was the third one?
And the third one was the apartment in New York.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
I know you don't like to talk about that.
No, I don't mind talking about it. You spread this deadly, filthy rumour, which I'm always happy to slap down.
It's not a deadly, filthy rumour. It's a true story.
Sorry.
I like all my stories, unlike yours. Now, football plans to introduce penalty goals.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, you know what a penalty try is, don't you?
Of course.
In rugby.
Yes.
Would you like to explain it to us?
Yeah, penalty try in rugby means you get awarded the points for the try if the opposition impede you to an extent where the referee is convinced that had the imposition not taken place so close to the touchline, you would have scored.
That's very good.
Yes, thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
That's the most sense you've ever made about rugby.
Well, there you go.
Including your time as a World Cup correspondent in France.
Oh, exactly,
Back in whenever it was. Now,
with my mate Dave.
Yeah, your mate Dave. Yeah. G'day. Now, apparently the Luis Suarez save for Uruguay against Ghana in the 2010 World Cup would be an example of when they would award it. Well, basically what they're saying is that in their new system, if it comes into place, that would have been a goal. So they wouldn't have given a penalty to Ghana. They would have said instead that, Suarez has stopped the ball from going in, so therefore that's a goal for Ghana.
That's right, yeah.
I think that's
just
not a bad idea.
Just remind me of that Luis Suarez save. Was it over his head?
Yeah, it was over his head, and he just put his hands up.
That's right.
And basically caught the ball or batted it out.
That's right.
And then Ghana missed the penalty.
They did, yeah.
And
that's right.
Uruguay went through.
Football rule makers
semi-final,
have until now regarded goals as sacrosanct, refusing to allow them to be granted unless the ball has crossed the line. One of the main things we're going to look at next is handballs, said David Ellery, who's a friend of mine, by the way.
Is he?
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to him? This year?
Maybe not this year.
This year?
Well, yeah, could have been, or year before, But anyway, Mr. Ellery, who is the technical director of the International FA Board, who was overseeing the rewrite of the laws, making alterations to 95 of them.
Yeah.
Do you know Mr. Ellery was also a housemaster at Harrow?
Was he?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think I did know that.
Oh, he was our greatest ever ref. I mean, this man was a gentleman. He was a housemaster at Harrow, which is one of the greatest British public schools of all time.
I don't think you'd say it was... Well, yeah, but you have this ridiculous reverence for public schools. I don't share that.
Any man educated who's bright enough and distinguished enough to be the housemaster,
rich enough to go there.
They don't get paid vast sums of money.
No, I'm talking about the people that go there.
Oh, well, the people who go there are immaculate people. You know, they're great, great people because they come from some of Britain's greatest and most distinguished families.
No, they happen to be wealthy because some king hundreds of years ago granted them a bunch of land.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, did David Beckham's family get money from the king hundreds of years ago?
No, I'm not talking about them.
To send his children
you said to me that they're
some of his children
the greatest,
to public schools in this country.
The greatest families in the country.
Yeah, well, they are.
What, you think the Beckhams are one of the greatest families in the country?
Undoubtedly.
Why?
Because they are successful, they are British, they have conquered the world in sporting, business and charismatic terms.
Rubbish.
And I'm sorry if you can't accept that, but you can't.
I have no problem with the Beckhams, but I wouldn't put them in the class of being the greatest family in the country.
Would you approve of this new law?
I would actually, yeah.
Yes?
Because I think, the way that sporting kind of misfortune goes, Ghana were robbed of a goal.
Yeah, they were, I agree.
And because they missed the penalty, there was no justice.
Yeah. The other thing is, it doesn't specify whether the ref has to automatically red card the infringer, but he must do, surely.
Surely you would have to, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. I'd say so. And if that's the case... one of the main things we're going to look at next is handball, said David Ellery.
It says denying obvious goal-scoring opportunities outside of the box will still result in a red card.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that, I think goes without saying it'd have to be a red card, yeah. I agree with that one.
Suarez got sent off.
Yes.
But he sacrificed himself for the team, as it were.
Yeah, and it was the team's advantage. They still won, didn't they?
Well, yeah, they went through because Ghana missed the penalty.
That's right, yeah, amazing.
So I wouldn't be against it. I mean, I don't think it happens that often, does it? Does it happen? I mean, would you say it happens that often?
I'd say it happens extremely rarely because I think players, just the fear of being sent off is enough for them to keep their hands where it is.
Yeah, for example, it wouldn't affect a situation, say, where a goalkeeper dives at the feet of the striker and somehow, trips him up and he's not able to score a goal. No. I don't think they're not talking about that.
No, this is blatantly using your hand to prevent the ball crossing the line.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a new introduction.
And there can't be, what I'm saying is there can't be too many other scenarios where it would be used.
No, but Mr. Ellery's absolutely right, and the reason he's right is because he's a good thinker, because he was a housemaster at Harrow.
What's that to do with that?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Some people are clear thinkers and some people are not. And it doesn't matter whether you're a housemaster at Harrow or not.
And what he's worked out is that there's an anomaly to the fact that the real loser in that specific example was the country and the team that had been infringed against.
The team that should have scored the goal, yeah.
Exactly
right.
Now, listen, we just mentioned the word bladderation.
Yes.
Now, I'm very sorry to have to mention this, but my favourite actress, Sheridan Smith,
yes,
who played Scylla in that wonderfully dramatic two-part series, Scylla Black, on TV, and has been roundly...
You're saying she's suffering from the Porky jinx?
Well, it's not quite that. I think what's happened is, now we know that a week ago she missed one of her West End shows. She's in the production West End show Funny Girl, OK?
Yes.
And she's got rave reviews because she's a brilliant actress. And then I think on the third or fourth night she didn't make it. And there were stories written in the paper, which I'm not suggesting they were malicious, but they indicated very heavily that she might have been affected by...
Unable to appear, I think, is the professional phrase.
Yeah. She might have been affected by bladderation tendencies. That's putting it...
That would be
nicely.
an allegation that you couldn't possibly stand over.
No, I think that's the allegation. But nothing has been proven. And I, in fact, don't like people picking on other people for their, shortcomings in their character. So I sent a tweet out the following day saying, brilliant to learn that Sheridan Smith is back on stage tonight.
So that has now become the latest Porky jinx, hasn't it?
Well, I'm not sure. Anyway, the point I'm making is that, as we all know, the night before last... from where we are now, was the BAFTA Awards, OK?
Yes.
In which
somebody had actually texted in about Saran Jones.
Exactly. I was going to mention this during the show. She won the Best Actress Award. Now, as a result of that, Sheridan Smith, who was in the audience, was said to be, by reports that are coming in now... Sorry, what's your problem?
I'm about to see how you will describe this.
Well, she very fed up that she wasn't
oh, really?
The best actress.
For Scylla, you mean?
Well, I'm not sure for that or other productions that she's done. And she's done several things on television, and so people said she was stony-faced, she didn't look happy and all that. Consequently, the following night, which was last night to us now, so that's 4 or 5 hours ago, she missed the show again.
Oh, dear.
She missed her Funny Girl show, and people are wondering whether she became emotionally distraught at the missing of the award.
Yes, you could well be right.
She's a great girl. I hope that there's nothing wrong there.
You wish her all the best.
Of course I do.
Of course we do that. Adrian says this, David Ellery, greatest ref, please see FA Cup semi-final 97, Chesterfield, Middlesbrough, cheated the underdog.
I was at the one United and Crystal Palace at Villa Park when Roy Keane stood on Gareth Southgate, literally, and Mr. Ellery sent him off. And I had to go and see him because I was working for the FA at the time. I had to go and see him after the game in the.
What, Ellery?
Yeah,
not Roy Keane, luckily.
No, in the ref's dressing room and get an instant report on just how bad it was because the FA were thinking of banning him for 6 games.
Really?
Yeah.
See that guy Dembele's going to get banned for 6 games.
Dembele?
Yeah, for the gouge. This is Talk Sport.
Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. David says this, I think the penalty should still be taken, but without a goalkeeper. Well, that would be a bit of a waste of everybody's time, wouldn't it?
Well, that's a complete waste of time because the penalty wouldn't even be exciting. You would just tap it, wouldn't you?
Well, you would,
So you didn't make any mistakes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
No, that's not competitive at all.
Steve says this, man of the people, really? Rolexes, public schools, penthouses, oh yeah, just like the rest of us.
Well, hang on. You've got to remember, I'm an aspirant. I didn't exactly come from a council house, but I did come from very humble beginnings. Very, very humble.
You lived in a cul-de-sac.
I lived in a cul-de-sac.
Your father was professional.
Excuse me?
You were middle class through and through.
No, I came from humble beginnings.
No, your father was a white-collar worker.
In the 50s. We sometimes...
Yeah, but your father was a white-collar worker, was he not?
We sometimes didn't have meat on a Sunday.
Meat?
Yeah.
Well, what did you have instead? Fish?
No, spam.
Spam?
Yeah. What are you laughing at?
What, a spam Sunday roast?
Spam.
Did you ever eat spam fritters?
Spam.
Did you ever eat spam fritters?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Oh, we used to have them at school dinners. Possibly some of the worst food ever invented.
Yeah. No, we used to have spam. I remember eating spam. I also remember
eating spam. We used to get spam at school.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff.
Sometimes, if we didn't have any money...
Yeah.
Mum would serve a bowl of chips for dinner.
Yeah.
Right? Round the table.
What, from the local chippy?
No. She'd dig a few...
chip pan?
I think we grew a few spuds at the end of the garden, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And she'd dig them up and then, clean them all up and peel them and that.
Well, obviously.
But and
then chip them.
The strangest thing was I much preferred a plate of chips so I could make chip butties, until I was bursting.
See, I've never liked chip butties.
Oh, I love chip butties with salt and vinegar. And I would eat, 6 of those for my dinner.
It's a northern thing, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is, yeah. But I much preferred that to, things like... What else did we used to eat in the evenings? I suppose... My mum was a great cook.
Did she ever make you fish fingers?
Well, no, she bought them, didn't she?
I didn't mean
we had the fish fingers.
But I'm just wondering whether that was where you got your love of fish fingers and all things.
Oh, yeah. No, I loved them. But Mum would make things like suet pudding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She's very good at all that. But I honestly preferred chip butties.
Yeah.
I love chip butties.
See, you've made me cough now. I'm starting to cough.
No, well, don't worry about that.
Well, I'm worried about it.
Because I'm getting better.
I make my living out of speaking, right? If you give me a cough, which makes it impossible for me to do that,
listen, there's one or two things.
That'll be more money you owe me.
There's one or two things I want to talk to you about, and they are important, okay?
Are they?
So we need to get round to them. Now, for instance, I found in my research journals at the weekend an amazing fact, which I'm very...
Did you have time to read any research journals?
Well, I did. Because I'm that sort of guy. And I really want to share this with the world because it makes me feel ever so good.
Yeah.
All the millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds that's been spent on developing eco-vehicles.
Eco-vehicles? Do you know what I've noticed,
The ones that you plug in.
Yeah, do you know what I've noticed in the last few days, funnily enough, and it was towards the end of last week. Yeah. I was coming to work on the tube. So as you walk through the cut, there's a PowerPoint there for cars.
Yes, that's right, yes.
And each day that I came was a different car.
Right.
Whereas before you used to only see those G-Whiz, those funny little electric cars.
Yes, that's right.
I saw an Audi there.
Right.
I saw Ford. I think
plugged
I saw a Citroen. All plugged in, yeah.
Somebody's probably arranged it to make it look as though people are using it.
No, I don't think so. I think there's more and more of it going on.
Yeah. Anyway, let me read this to you, okay? And I love
Give
this.
me your bloody cough.
I love this because billions of pounds have been spent, and they've been spent by do-gooders who just hate the commercial world and hate the fact that the internal combustion engine is the greatest invention ever made, because it was made by pioneering people, not deep-thinking conservationists. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So listen to this, because this sums it all up, OK?
Go on.
I absolutely love this. Right, scientists have found electric, hybrid and other supposedly eco-friendly cars produce as much toxic particulate pollution as the so-called deadly diesels they're meant to be replacing.
Oh, yeah. How so?
I'm going to read it to you.
Go on.
The tiny particles are produced by tyre and brake wear. This happens in all cars, including diesel and petrol.
Right.
But eco-vehicles produce more because they are much, much heavier, owing to the huge batteries and other parts needed to propel them.
Well, one of the other things about the batteries, if I'm going to interrupt you for a second, is that they don't biodegrade. So the battery itself, which after
you can't get rid of it.
You can't get rid of it unless you fire it to the moon or bury it somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
So actually the eco damage that causes in the long term is much worse.
And you put it on the back of a lorry and drive it round for 500 miles to find a dump to put it on. Right. It also says, here we go, the extra emissions are roughly equal to the particulates saved by reducing engine use. The added weight of eco cars means that when they accelerate or slow down, the tyres and brakes wear much faster, producing more particulates. The weight also whips up more particles from the road surface and wears out roads more quickly.
Yeah.
The journal Atmospheric Environment, has discovered all this. And
also, is there not more complications in the manufacture of the car generally, which would suggest
get to that.
That's bad.
I'll get to that.
Right.
Researcher Peter Acton said, "We found that non-exhaust emissions from brakes, tyres, and the road are far, far larger than exhaust emissions in all modern cars. These are more toxic than emissions from modern engines, so they are likely to be key factors in the extra heart attacks, stroke and asthma attacks seen when air pollution levels surge in city centres."
Well, hang on, you can't have it both ways, though, because you're always going on about how it's no more dangerous now in the cities than it ever was.
Yeah.
The pollution levels don't actually harm you.
Yeah.
Did you not have a study last week that said
that's right, 0.1%.
running about and cycling about in the city is not actually any worse for you than doing it in the country?
No, it's not.
Well, so you can't now say that electric cars are damaging the atmosphere.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is that they are not improving the pollution levels in city centres as we are told they should be.
Oh, okay.
Because they have exactly the same emissions,
well, you know what's going to happen,
from different parts of the vehicle.
But you know what's coming, don't you?
Than the diesel engine.
You know what's coming is what you'll get is all these people that run the city saying, well, we've tried making electric cars solve the problem, but since they haven't, we're just going to ban all cars.
Yeah, that will come, I'm sure
and
you'll
have to ride around on a rickshaw.
I was talking to a taxi driver this morning. I was out early this morning because I had a job to do.
Did you get a wake-up call?
No, I didn't actually, no.
Well, how did you manage to wake up?
Well, I got myself up. I was up at half 4.
Why are you complaining about not getting one in the hotel?
Well, because I asked them and they didn't do it, and I find that, really frustrating. I damn berated the young lady on the front desk.
No, not again.
Well, I was very polite, but I exhibited to my anger. Anyway, the point of my story is I had to go to Wardour Street this morning, which is in Soho.
It is in Soho.
The roads are very narrow.
A
you know
bomb
what I mean?
in Wardour Street.
A
bomb in Wardour Street.
A bomb?
A bomb in Wardour Street. You must know that song.
No?
No, we'll play it for you.
Okay, yeah. And anyway, the taxi driver was telling me, and he's so frustrated about it all, once again moaned about the Boris roadworks all over the place and all that kind of thing.
Well, it's not him anymore, is it?
Well,
you can't blame Boris.
Well, it has been him.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not in charge anymore.
Well, he's caused all the chaos. But anyway,
Khan now.
But anyway, what the guy said to me was, he said it's noticeable since the so-called reforms are brought into London city centre. He has to keep his window closed a lot more now than he used to,
right?
Because so many cars just sit around pumping out
but
fuel.
Wasn't there supposed to be a rule about that?
Well,
wasn't there supposed to be somebody going around giving them tickets?
Well,
if you're in traffic, you're supposed to switch your engine off.
And by the way, this is the most interesting thing. I came into town to Waterloo Station.
Yeah.
Right, get this. You know the bay in which I was done with the ticket?
Oh, yeah.
The infamous ticket which I photographed and sent out. Yeah, outside Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Right, how about this? This is what the taxi driver told me. He said, that is the most notorious camera in London.
Is it?
And it gets huge amounts of revenue. It is so bad that if you think about it, Mike, in that row there's a Marks and Spencer's, there's a Waitrose, and there's a Sainsbury's.
Yeah, no, there's a Tesco, not a Waitrose.
A Tesco's, I'm sorry. There is a Marks and Spencer's, a Tesco and a Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Right. He said their lorries have been done so often because they deliver overnight.
Yeah.
So they're here between 2:30 and 5:30.
So they do the lorries as well?
This is what my taxi driver told me. He said they deliver between 2:30 and 5:30 when there's no traffic in central London because that's the way that people who run London want it done.
That's a good idea as well.
Of course they want it done.
That's a good idea.
But even at that time of night, if even one of their wheels goes into the bus stop area, which is right outside one of those shops, right? If even one wheel goes in, the camera on the other side of the road takes a picture and sends them a bill. Those three companies have had so many bills, it now costs thousands of pounds, and they are considering writing to the Mayor of London to say we're going to stop delivering goods to shops in London if you keep penalising the delivery vehicles that bring it. They're actually going to say that. They're going to say that we are a cash cow for your ridiculous parking rules. What could we possibly be doing wrong at 3:30 in the morning?
Well,
there is no traffic. There are no buses. There's one bus an hour.
Do you know what they should do?
What?
They should set themselves up as a company, not just a company, but as a country.
That's right.
Right? They get a diplomatic immunity, like the Americans do. Because the Americans owe something like £7 or £8 million.
Yes, that's right.
Because any embassy that gets a ticket doesn't pay.
Yes, that's right.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
An electric car, by the way, just to finish off my report.
You're not
there.
paying any attention. I just came out with a brilliant idea.
Well, it was a
brilliant idea.
Pretty stupid idea. That's why I glossed over it.
Yeah.
An electric car weighs 24% more than the equivalent diesel engine car.
And you weigh 24% more than I do.
No, I
don't. Talk sport.
But there's no relief, I'm wide awake in my kitchen. It's black and I'm lonely. Oh, if I could only get some sleep. Creaky noises make my skin creep. I need to get some sleep. I can't get no sleep.
I realise this might be a little bit much for you, this sort of music.
No, that's good.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah.
Good. Now, there was a published study.
What is it?
Something called Insomnia.
Insomnia, knew it.
Faithless.
Knew it.
You've probably heard it on adverts and things and on TV shows more than you've heard it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But there was a study in the journal Science Advances over the weekend saying the effects of society on sleep remain largely unquantified, basically. They're saying that there is a global sleep crisis at the moment because everybody in the world is not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
And when you look at some of the decisions that are being made in the world, you wonder whether they might actually have a point. But let's talk to our good friend Dr. Chris Winter, who is, of course, a specialist in sleep disorders and that kind of thing, in neurology. Dr. Chris, welcome back to the show. Very good morning to you.
That's great to be back on your show. How are you all doing today?
Yeah, we're
very
doing
well
very
indeed,
well.
Doc. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, calm down. You'll be fascinated by this, Chris, because Mr. Parry and I, as you know, work overnight on this show from
sometimes
1 till 4 in the morning. But for the last 2 weeks, we've actually been working the complete opposite end of the clock from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. Which meant that, from my point of view anyway, I actually had what you might regard as normal sleep from sort of midnight till 7 in the morning for 2 weeks. But now we're back on the night gig. What sort of effect is that going to have, not so much on me, but on my broadcasting partner, Mr. Parry?
Well, I mean, I think that the article that you're referring to is kind of touching on the idea that you guys are not alone. There are a lot of people working very unusual schedules, working longer hours, getting maybe a little bit less sleep than they used to, and the effects are not good. The World Health Organization classifies shift work as a Class 2A carcinogen. It's hard on your heart. It's hard on your endocrine system. It can lead to diabetes. It's just an unnatural situation for your body, and I would strongly suggest you figure out ways to make it easier on yourself. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got there in the background? You got somebody like doing some kind of scream imitation?
I'm sorry. I'm actually waiting to catch a flight to New York City.
Oh, excellent.
Well, don't sit next to that guy that made that noise, whoever he is. Now, according to this study, it's middle-aged men who get the least amount of sleep, which is less than the recommended 7 to 8 hours. Why is that?
My guess it has to do with working hours. That's sort of the time in your life, I think, probably when you're in the prime of your working years. You've probably also got a family at that time. So, Dad's trying to work and also spend some time with his children and his wife as well, too. I think it's just sort of a difficult time to get the necessary sleep you need to get in and all the other things you have to fit in 24 hours. And stay up and listen to your show, of course.
Of course.
But, Doc, you're giving us, A, a worst-case scenario there, and B, if you don't mind me saying, an impractical assessment of human beings' needs for sleep. I mean, these days, we have to have 24-hour systems in emergency care, in the police, in the fire services, in the military, where we've got to be alert 24 hours a day to enemy incursions. Loads of people work in industries like, for instance, you're going to New York City, where you'll find when you get there that throughout the night, big trucks are rolling into town and bringing supplies into the supermarket, into the chain stores. I'm afraid 24-hour working is a fact of life in the modern society that we live in. And having doctors like yourselves telling people they're going to die if they don't get enough sleep is not helpful.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think what we're encountering now is a situation...
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. If you could say that again, Doc, I'd love you to.
He's at an airport, for heaven's sake. Sorry, Chris, go on.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think this is the kind of situation we've got to assess. I mean, I've heard it compared to things as varied as asbestos. Okay, now we've got all these buildings that have asbestos in them. Can't imagine us taking the asbestos out, right? Well, yes, we do. And and somebody actually compared it to slavery at some point. They said, how on earth will the South exist if they don't have free labor to take care of their crops? And there was a tremendous frame shift in our country and the way it functioned when we said, look, this is not right. We can't have it. So I think what we're doing is we're getting to a place where people are recognizing exactly what you said. How can we deal with our 24-hour culture when we have all these things that we need to have happen now? It's going to require a lot of creative problem solving in the future because we know now what we're doing is a very unhealthy situation.
Yeah. Now, this may seem like perhaps a question too far in terms of what problems can be caused by this global lack of sleep. But, I mean, is it possible? I mean, we've heard, for example, that Margaret Thatcher used to survive on 3 hours sleep a night. I mean, is it possible that a lot of politicians and a lot of world leaders are making a lot of mistakes as a result of not having had enough sleep?
Well, I think it's absolutely possible. In fact, when you look at things like causes of death in the United States, I think it's the third or the fourth leading cause is medical mistakes.
Yeah.
So I think the idea that these leaders who are, forced to work these hours, and you can do it. I mean, I always told people when I worked in the hospital when I was doing my training, I survived on a very little amount of sleep. Was I the best doctor I could be at that time? Absolutely not. And I made a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, none that actually cost somebody their life or a limb, but things that I was not particularly proud of.
And I think we'll find, Doc, won't we, if we get down to these statistics, a good percentage of automobile accidents on freeways, motorways, that sort of stuff, are down to drivers who are either inattentive through lack of sleep, or actually fall asleep at the wheel.
You bet. We see it all the time. It's one of the leading reasons why people come to our office for assistance. They knew they were sleepy in the years leading up to the accident, but it often takes them putting their car into a telephone pole or, unfortunately, somebody else's car for them to seek help.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely right. So what is the answer then? Do we introduce new rules? At the moment, there are rules in this country, certainly, as to how many hours a truck driver can drive before he has to say, right, that's it for today in a 24-hour cycle, or that's it for this week.
And it's governed by the tachometer, isn't it?
Governed by a tachometer, absolutely right. Do we have to?
The cabin,
do we have to extend that not just to people who drive vehicles for a living, but doctors who are in charge of critical situations, who need some sort of monitor on their body to tell them your energy levels are below efficiency?
Absolutely, and they already did that in the medical field in the United States. They actually, when I was a resident, enacted duty hour restrictions, but I don't think they go far enough, not only in medicine, but I think that other industries should do the same things when they're in danger of working their employees too long.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I'm up with that.
I mean, one of the reasons this study was done was through an app, and apps have now become very much a part of everybody's life. Presumably, you could have an app which would measure the amount. I mean, as I've got on my iPhone, the amount of steps I walk every day, the amount of flights of stairs I climb. Presumably, they can measure how much sleep you've had, and if you hadn't had enough, they would say, "Well, sorry, you can't work today."
That's right. I mean, I think that the thing of it is that it would save industries money in the long run. It's just hard to put a number to figure on that when you're an employer who usually staffs 20 people for a job, and now you're being asked to basically staff 30 so that those individuals can work shorter shifts. That's a big pill to swallow with not immediate financial return.
Yeah. Okay.
It's absolutely right.
Now, Dr. Chris, before we let you go,
yeah.
Where are you off to? Were you going anywhere exciting?
So you're going to New York?
Heading to New York City to do some filming. Yep.
Some filming? Oh, yeah. Right. Where are you staying?
Yeah. What's that?
Where are you staying?
I'm staying right in Times Square. In fact, I'll be in HBO Studios.
Very nice.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because I'm going to be on Game of Thrones, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, good man. I'm really sorry, Doctor, that my colleague asked you such a stupid question when you opened up your interviewers by saying you were at an airport flying to New York City.
I didn't hear him say he was going to New York because you're too busy shouting over me.
No, because you're a thickhead and you've got cloth ears. Because, of course, the very point of you going to New York City, Doc, is that you are going to what Frank Sinatra called the city that never sleeps.
Oh, that's a good one, that is. But I assure you I will get my sleep. In fact, I will get my sleep on the plane. I'm a master at sleeping on a plane.
Yeah, but when you get there, Doc, let me tell you, because he, my broadcasting colleague, and I collectively lived in New York for about 20 years, and there are plenty of good reasons why you don't need to sleep when you're in New York City. If I were you, I'd make up for a better sleep when you get back, but don't waste your time overnight sleeping when you're in the Apple.
That sounds good, and I'll let you know what I did when I'm there next time we talk.
Excellent.
Chris,
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much indeed. That's Dr. Chris Winter, who's from Charlottesville, but he's going to New York.
Did you really not pick up that
I didn't hear him say it.
That the man was on his way to our favourite city?
I didn't hear him say it.
Well,
he said he was at an airport.
Weren't you listening?
I was listening.
Well, you should listen to our guests when they're trying to tell you what the details are.
You are such a pain in the arse
No,
tonight.
I'm not.
What is wrong with you?
No, not wrong with me.
Apart from giving me a cough and shouting
with me.
over everybody, you're being even more objectionable than you normally are.
Don't you? I have antennae in my head which
you've got no brains in your head,
which
though, have you?
ping off when certain key words are spoken, or I read them, or I hear them on the news, or the radio, or television, or something like that. And one of those words is New York City.
Really?
And the minute he said that,
it
flashed all sorts of images into my head.
Once again, we did this last week. If you'd like me to point out every time you don't hear something, or you pay no attention to something that was said, I'll be very happy to do it.
Didn't you hear me say to the doc, of course, you're going to New York City, where the trucks will be piling in overnight, filling up the supermarkets and chain stores.
I didn't hear you say that.
You're living on a different planet tonight, pal.
Really?
I tell you what I think you've done? I think you've left half of whatever intelligence you had back in Cardiff City.
Really?
I'd really like to know what you got up to overnight
that's what you
after
think,
I took to my sickbed after the show.
Yeah.
Did you get it stuck investigating the possibilities?
I wish you'd stop talking about what you really do and making up stories about me.
The possibilities of Rogerisation amongst that wedding party at the Holiday Inn.
I spent the evening...
Did you get involved?
No, I spent the evening...
Did you get involved?
I spent the evening with my daughter, talking to her. Of course, you wouldn't know about that, because you haven't got anybody to talk to.
Your daughter
That's
knows.
why you go home on your own.
Your daughter knows about your alley cat morals.
Get lost. This is Talk Sport. Talk Sport, we are the two mics.
Yeah.
Got a couple of tweets here for you.
Oh, yes.
Craig says, did Mike Parry get his faux Rolex at the same market he bought his faux leather handbag? Mm-hmm. Next one is, what happened to Porky's 1/3 of a heart? His quack's improved evaluation of his heart correlates with his increased hatred of nature, says FC.
No, I love nature. Everybody knows I love nature. I'm a nature fanatic.
You're a nature fanatic?
Yeah, I go walking on the North and South Downs.
Yeah. Becky says, welcome back, MG. Who's taking over in your place when you're off sick? # Porky cough.
Oh, dear.
And then she suggests Jay Rayner could do a show.
Oh, Ooh, poor old Jay Rayner.
And then she also says, Porky's humble beginnings, not born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but definitely inserted in one of his orifices.
Oh, dear me. That is the sort of language I really do object to. If we can't have a frank and intelligent conversation, then please let's not bother, OK?
OK, then.
Now, I want to tell you about
See you later.
I want to tell you about something that I came across.
I've got a great story to tell you, though, first, if you don't mind.
Yes, please. Yes.
Because I saw this story, it was sent to me by somebody earlier on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And what I did say, and you may have seen the way I retweeted it, was that it sounded very Porky-esque, right?
Yes.
As it seemed to me, this is the sort of thing you would do.
Right.
It's a story from the Coventry Telegraph.
Oh, I know the Coventry Tell, yeah.
About an unnamed solicitor who was up before the solicitors' sort of standards and practices crowd.
Yep.
Because the unnamed solicitor broke up with a woman he was seeing.
Yep.
But the only way he could do it was by pretending he was dead.
Yeah. How did he pretend that?
Well, apparently he got one of his relatives to send the girlfriend a text message saying, terribly sorry, so-and-so won't be able to join you for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
He was unfortunately killed earlier in the day.
Good God.
Can you imagine?
That's terrible.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
But, people sometimes don't have the kind of moral fortitude to just say to a woman...
Yeah, look, I'm sorry.
And I have to say, actually, you've done that in the past, so I'm not suggesting that you would have done it. But it's the sort of thing that you would do, I think, to sort of get out of a situation.
Derek Hudson did that, didn't he?
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah. We were down in the Caribbean somewhere following Dine Around or something like that, and he so hated working with Jean Rook, the late, great Jean Rook.
Yes.
Jean's not around, so it doesn't really matter.
Herself.
She's not, though.
Well, yeah, but her relatives may be.
I went to a funeral. Her son's still around because one of her proudest achievements, she was known as the First Lady of Fleet Street.
Yeah.
She was the only employee of any newspaper on Fleet Street, one down from the editor, who had a Jaguar car.
Yeah.
That was her company car.
Right.
Excuse me, it's pretty good.
God's sake.
But anyway, when she died, we all went to a funeral and we went back to her house.
Yeah.
And the first thing Sir Nick said when we walked in was, he said, "Oh, this is where all the expenses went," because it was magnificent. It was in a place called Knockholt.
Knockholt, yeah, I know.
Which is on the border between,
It's down the M25.
Yeah, that's
very
right.
close to Badger's Bottom, actually.
That's right, it is, yeah.
That's where my golf club was. I told you I won a membership to a golf club.
Oh, yes.
That's where it was.
Oh, OK, there you go. And anyway, when we walked in, and, she had this huge ambition to get her son into RADA, which is the, Royal Amnesty Dramatic, or what, isn't it?
RADA.
Yeah, Royal
Academy of...
Royal Academy, that's
Dramatic
it.
Arts,
Dramatic Art, that's right, yeah. And that's where people like Cumberbatch go and all that lot, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Eddie Newton.
All those lovely people.
No, not
Eddie Newton.
Is it? Who's the guy with the red hair?
You mean all these lovely people that go to Eton?
Yeah. What's
top
Eddie?
Stars?
Who's the Eddie guy?
Eddie Redmayne.
Redmayne, he's the guy, yeah.
Where'd you get Newton from?
Well, Eddie Newton is assistant coach at Chelsea.
Did he go to Eton?
No, he didn't.
Is he an actor?
No, he wasn't. No,
he just happens to have the same name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, his first name's Eddie.
Yeah.
And anyway, we walked in, and there were these all the walls on everywhere, the room, the stairs.
Yeah.
There were 3 flights of stairs and all that. Were all adorned with these incredible antique showbiz prints. You know what I mean? Like for shows. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, Funny Girl, which is one Sheridan Smith at the moment. This is her house. Yeah. And she must spend tens of thousands on it.
But she was a superstar of those days.
Oh, she was a complete superstar, yeah.
I mean, if she was there, if she was a columnist now,
yes,
she'd have her own TV show, probably.
That's right.
That kind of station, right?
But anyway, she was a bit hard to work with. And we were down, I don't know where it was, Grenada or Barbados or somewhere like that. And all of a sudden, Derek came into the dining room weeping and said he had terrible news. His girlfriend had been fatally injured in a road accident back up in New York.
Yeah.
Nobody knew he had a girlfriend in New York. Those girlfriend was in England.
Yeah.
And, it was terrible. And she only had a house to live. So
she'd been fatally injured. She would be dead already.
Well, yeah, but I mean, critically injured, I suppose, is the word. So she said, "Oh, of course, you must go back." She then started sending flowers to an imaginary hospital that didn't exist, because he invented this ridiculous story. And
that's what this guy did.
Yeah, and then she found out eventually that he'd complained she was too difficult to work with, too demanding, kept him waiting around too long, didn't like the pictures when he'd taken them and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So he just pulled out.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, it is
How could anybody do that?
Well, this guy was reported to the Solicitors Regulation Authority
I'm not surprised.
by the mother of the woman because she only found out that he hadn't died because she pressed the relative who had texted her to say, well, I'd obviously want to go to the funeral.
Yes.
And so they kind of reluctantly had to come up with some details of a non-existent funeral.
Yeah.
And when she went to go to the funeral, she realised there was no funeral.
No, exactly.
Because he was still alive.
Exactly.
But apparently, the SRA said they couldn't take any action against the solicitor regarding the allegation because... Basically, they didn't really have anything that covered it.
Well, no crime's been committed, has it?
No, but I mean, you wouldn't want a solicitor with that kind of moral turpitude,
well,
would you?
I mean, at best, he's told a lie. And solicitors who tell lies shouldn't be trusted. If you can't trust a solicitor, then you wouldn't use a solicitor, would you?
So you'd think that the professional body overseeing their behaviour would have done something other than go, well, there's nothing we can do about it.
Do you know what I think that is?
What?
I think that's a classic one of us.
What?
I think it's a classic you scratch my back.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
I thought you were suggesting that it was like something to do with us.
No. He's a solicitor and he's been examined by a solicitor's body.
What you mean is...
What are they going to say?
What you mean is they're looking after their own. That would be a better way to say.
Looking after their own.
This
do you know what?
No, we haven't
I've
got
coughed
time.
so badly I've pulled a muscle in my neck.
Good.
Oh.
I'm glad.
Oh,
Couldn't be
God.
happier. Now I'm starting to feel better.
I'm in agony.
Now I'm starting to feel better.
I'm in agony, honestly.
Yeah. All right, well, calm down. I'll give you a massage. This is
No.
Talk Sport.
You and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. But still before we go do it all again, you better catch your own train.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Winners and losers coming up in the next hour. I can't believe we've only got an hour to go, actually.
No, I can't either.
Extraordinary. It goes very, very quickly. Now, here's a good question for you.
Right, go on.
From Frank,
Okay.
who says he's in Knotty Ash. You know what that is.
Yeah.
He says, hi, two mics. I'm pondering as to going to see you both when you visit my hometown of Liverpool,
Okay.
Which is in November.
Yeah.
Could you please describe how your live show is executed at such a large arena?
Yes, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy. What we do is we work out how many tickets are going to be sold, and we then designate the space and area we need in the arena.
Yeah.
And we can then, through very clever lighting, and sometimes
I don't think that's what he's asking.
What do you mean?
Well, he's asking how does the show work?
No, he's asking how we accommodate the numbers in such a big arena.
Well, no, he's not. He's asking. No, he's asking
is.
how does the show work? I.e., how is it made up? I.e., we got two chairs on the.
No,
stage.
he's not. No, he's not, Mike. Read it. He's asking. You see, the O2 Arena holds.
No,
it can hold up to 1,600 people.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It says, how is your live show executed?
Yes.
That doesn't mean how many
Read
chairs
the rest
you
of
put
it.
in.
Read the rest of it.
That's such a large arena.
Thank you.
What he means is.
He didn't say on such a large stage.
No, but he means. You're really stupid at
No,
times.
I'm not.
Aren't you?
You're stupid.
What he means is, right. In your, we're sitting in a radio studio.
Yeah.
There's only two of us here.
Yes.
In front of a large crowd of hundreds of people.
Yes.
How does it work? That's
Yes.
what he's asking. He's not
Yes.
asking, how you use clever lighting.
Yes, he is. Because what he's saying is, I'm going to be sitting in the crowd. It's a huge theatre. You two are on the stage. How do you make it work?
How's it going to work?
Yeah, how do you make it work? And I'm trying to say to you, don't worry. It will feel very intimate. You and the rest of the audience with us in an area designated to be exactly the size needed for the numbers in that building.
Indeed.
Don't worry about it,
Right.
okay?
And we've got a big video screen where you can see other things
That's
that are going
right.
on. And we are lit with, various different coloured
So you now
spotlights.
accept he wasn't
No.
actually asking about how many chairs are on the stage.
No,
he
not-
wasn't.
No.
He wasn't.
Listen, I'm just going to give up talking to you tonight.
Well, I mean,
think your cough has so invaded your brain
if you
that
can't-
you're incapable of having a conversation.
If you can't figure out
He's
the
asking
simplest
how the
question
show
from
works.
one of our listeners...
He's asking how the show works.
No, he's not. He's not. He's asking...
I'll tell you what, Frank, why don't you send us another text and tell us what you're actually asking, because Porky doesn't understand you.
He's asking how the auditorium in which the show takes place works. That's what he's asking. You're too daft to work that out.
He's just asking generally
he's not,
how
he's
it would
not.
work. Because I think for a lot of people, to work out how this show would work in a theatre is difficult to do because it's not immediately obvious.
Well, do you know what they should do?
They should come to the show.
No, either come to the show or, folks, go to the2bikes.co.uk where you can either download a production of our show at Den and Chickens, which is our home theatre, or you can order yourself one to be sent to you in a lovely plastic box with a
In a
picture.
lovely plastic box?
Yeah, with a picture of me on the front.
Well, you mean a DVD?
Yes, that's right.
There's not much of a picture of you on the front, to be fair.
Well, there's a bit of you as well.
You're sort of in the background.
No. Your ugly face dominates. I would agree with that.
Yeah, look, Abdul
That's 'cause
agrees
you are
with me.
very ugly.
Oh, my God,
Yeah.
shut up, Porky. Why is Porky over-discussing everything today? He says,
No,
look
not.
at the time, man.
No.
Calm down.
Hey, do you know the other health thing which has been found out this week?
What?
You know those ridiculous things about probiotic bacteria is good for you?
Oh, what, you mean like yoghurt?
you know, all these things like, you know, I'm not going to give brand names, but, you know, ooh, shake this little bottle, take the seal off the top, and then drink it. Oh, positive bacteria.
That Yakult, isn't it?
Yeah, one's Yakult's one. What's the other one? Moolah Vitality, is it? Something like that?
I don't know.
Researchers found...
I eat Greek yoghurt.
Researchers found no evidence that supposedly gut-friendly yoghurts and other foods boosted well-being in healthy individuals. Yeah, but that's another one of these myths.
But, you know, it's not a myth. It's an advertising claim, right? Whatever happened to people believing, not believing everything that's put in front of them? I mean, if I watch an advert on television, I don't suddenly go, oh, I must get that car because, you know, it looks really cool. Yeah. Or I must eat that yoghurt because it's going to be good for my guts. I mean, have people become more stupid?
I think they have. Brits spend an estimated £750 million a year on probiotic foods, often dubbed friendly bacteria.
Well, you see, this is the thing. I mean, these companies are not stupid. I think the problem is, and I've said this before, that evolution is now reversing itself and we're actually going back in time.
Well, you are.
Becoming more thick.
You look like a caveman. You never wash your hair.
Caveman?
Yeah.
I washed my hair tonight.
Well, you didn't wash it at the weekend in Cardiff.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. The podcast will be out a little bit later on this morning.
Yes.
A couple of tweets to read out to you. Vin says this from Boston, US of A. Parry ranting on about Rogerisation. Quality. It says, listening from Boston, Mr. Mike, since I moved here.
Yeah, good.
Now, here's one from Frank from Notty Ash has been in touch. To clarify his question from earlier.
Excuse me.
He says, hi, Two Mics. Thanks for your reply. Porky obviously jumped in and got the wrong end of the stick, but you have put my mind at rest, MG.
So what was the question about?
That was the one we were just talking about, the Liverpool show.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fine.
Which you jumped to the wrong conclusion on.
No, I didn't. No,
well, Frank says you did.
Well, I don't think
he
I
asked
did.
the question.
Now, listen, I've got something to talk to you about here. You remember last week?
Well, that's handy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Now, remember last week we talked about this situation where when you got an aeroplane and there's a lot of trouble, sometimes it can be...
You're talking about the air rage between the first class and the second class passengers.
Exactly, right? Well, there is a solution to this, of course, and I've been talking to a lot of colleagues about how we should get this sorted.
This is what we described as people walking through the first class section and getting jealous.
Well, they're usually walking through the business class section, aren't they?
Steerage.
First class is usually so remotely, was sealed off to the masses.
The scum, as you would call them.
Well, I know. I never refer to people like that. I would say.
You refer to people born in council houses as scum.
No, I don't. I've never done that.
You have done it.
I've never said that. But those who maybe are not as big achievers in life as those in first class don't usually see first class, but they do often have to walk through business class. You're right. Now, the way to sort it all out, of course, is we need two classes of aircraft. We need an aircraft which is economy only, an aircraft which is business and first class only.
Yeah, but
because I don't believe that business class passengers get terribly wound up about first class passengers. I don't.
No, I don't think
I'd
they
rather
do.
be in business class.
Well, you'd rather be in first class.
No, I turned down first class on a number of occasions.
You've never turned down first class.
I certainly have. I have, honestly.
When?
I don't like the first class because I think it's too tiny. There are too many people in there looking at you and watching you and serving you drink all the time.
What do you mean there's too many people looking at you?
Well, there are. There's too many members of staff in the first class cabin where sometimes there's only like 16 seats.
So when was the last time you declined an offer to be upgraded to first class?
Oh, it was on a transatlantic flight.
You declined the offer?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, on one occasion I did accept it, and I took Joan Collins' seat on a flight home from LA.
Was she not in it?
No, of course she wasn't in it, you idiot. That's why it was offered to me, because she didn't turn up for the flight or she cancelled or something.
Then you were the closest thing to a diva they could find?
No, I was the closest thing to a man who deserved an upgrade for his contribution to life.
I see.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, right,
yes.
The more you look at, for example, because what I was going to say there is one of the many planes that, say, doesn't have a first-class section as such.
Yes.
Are when you go on package holiday planes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And everybody pretty much in the same class. But they've started to change those now, because now they've started to do things like premium economy and try and sort of, make a bit more money. But every time anyone's tried to run...
Introducing class warfare almost.
Well, yeah, but no, I don't think so.
They are. You've got a better seat than me and all that.
No, they're just trying to make more money. I mean, that's why they do it. Because some people would say, I quite like having a slightly wider seat.
Yes.
I like getting cutlery which is not made of plastic.
Yes.
I like getting, an unlimited amount of drinks and all the rest of it. But every time they've tried to do, say, a business-only airline, it fails.
Yeah, it does.
Every time they try to do a first-class-only flight, as there used to be, I think, from City Airport over to America, it doesn't work.
There is a second solution, and this is my solution.
Okay.
What you do is you actually seal off the first and business from economy.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, you do. You seal it off completely.
No, safety-wise, they wouldn't let you.
No, you don't understand.
You need to have curtains.
Eh?
That's why they've got curtains.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand.
No, look, I do understand.
No, you don't.
I know an awful lot about aircraft safety.
I'm trying to explain this to you if you just shut your mouth. So at the moment...
You're getting very, very angry
At the moment, when people board on, what do they call them things at the, like the, what's it called? The arm.
Them things.
The thing that goes out to the plane.
You're supposed to be an English master.
That's right.
Them things.
What's the moving thing that goes up to the plane and sticks onto the door?
Are you talking about there is a special name for it.
Yeah, there is something. But it's a thing that the passengers walk off the plane on, OK? Yeah. Now, what you need to do is, instead of having one of those at the front of a jumbo jet when everybody gets off, you have two. And you have one for business and first.
But they usually do, don't they?
No, they don't.
Yeah,
this is the point.
The last time I was on a transatlantic flight, they've usually got one sort of towards the middle of the plane and one towards the front of the plane.
Well, in that case, there should be no need at all for anybody who's travelling in economy to go through the first or business class section of the plane.
Well, no, they do, though, because they need to get people off the plane as quickly as possible. That's why they have two of them.
No, they shouldn't. They should, in that case, have two at the back and one at the front, and then get people off quicker. But that'll cost a little bit more, but then the economy people can pay for that if they want at the door. And
well, how about this for a much better solution, right? I've got a much better solution than any of that. Don't have any different class of carriage.
No, nobody would fly then.
You can, of course they would.
I'm going to fly with people who don't know how to behave themselves.
Oh, right. You're the same guy that just turned down a first-class upgrade.
Yes.
You don't want to fly with the people at the back of the plane?
Well, not if they don't behave themselves. I'm not saying that... look, 99% of people who fly planes are brilliant.
You're saying that the only people who misbehave are those in economy?
No, but there are more people in economy, so there's a greater chance, percentage-wise, of them misbehaving. You see what I mean?
But you see, surely you're missing the logic of my argument. The logic of my argument is if you did away with any class... Yeah. Then everybody's in the same class.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't get served...
So there's no reason for anyone to be jealous.
I wouldn't get served loads of free Pinot Grigio when at my beck and call. I'd have to wait. I'd have to wait.
That's the tragedy.
I don't want to wait.
If you're actually in a decent plane with some decent wine selections, you would order the, £2.50 glass of Pinot Grigio. Because you don't deserve to be somebody who is plied with expensive wine.
That's a terrible
thing. Because you don't
recognise
expensive wine.
That's a terrible thing. Now, listen, you might be flying across the Atlantic soon, right?
I am.
Right, now...
In fact, in a couple of weeks.
Depending on which...
Go to see my mother.
Do you know which... Yeah, it's very good. That's Commando. Which airline are you going with?
British Airways.
Right. Do you know that British Airways are introducing an app, right? And it signals... to you, there are 20 minutes left for you to get to the boarding gate to get on the plane.
Oh, yeah?
They are hoping to cut out the scourge of the late passengers who keep the planes waiting.
Well, they get you to go to the gate so early now.
I know.
That, I can't believe anybody misses planes anymore.
Well, they do. And anyway, this could save £10 million a year, seriously, in waiting time, costs, fuel, and all that kind of stuff. Now... I've had this problem before. I was coming back from Germany once, because what happens is, the biggest problem? Yeah. People who stay in the bar too long.
Yes.
Right?
Or also people who kind of don't manage to work out beforehand how long it actually takes to get to the gate. Well, if you're at Heathrow, and in fact they've now got signs that say it will take you 20 minutes to get to the gate. Because in the old days it didn't say that.
It's worse at Gatwick, because sometimes you have to get that little train out to the hub or something like that.
To the South Terminal.
Yeah, and it can take 25 minutes.
Or the North Terminal, yeah.
So anyway, coming back from somewhere once, I can't remember where it was, like Serbia or Croatia or somewhere, we had to fly through Frankfurt.
Yeah. That's a big airport.
Yeah, it is a big airport. On
Frankfurt am Main, isn't it?
Frankfurt am Main.
Yeah.
On Lufthansa.
Yeah.
And we were in the bar because, we'd been in Serbia and the wine there's not very good. And, you know what I mean?
You don't need an excuse to be in the bar at airport.
And then all of a sudden, my technician, who's supposed to look after these things, his name was Matt, and he was a bit slow off the mark. And
well, he was a very busy boy, Matt.
Turned out not to be as good at his job as we thought we were. Suddenly said, we're going to miss the plane. So we galloped off down
from Birmingham.
He was from Birmingham. Yeah. Galloped off down to the gate, and then as I sprinted through, I noticed he was getting stopped because they wanted to check the equipment he was carrying. We have to carry some of the radio equipment, hand luggage, because it gets damaged if you put it in the hold. And he got stopped, so that was good. Because I thought I can now sprint onto the plane. I don't care whether he gets on or not, as long as I don't miss it.
Very loyal of you.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, as it happened, even I got stopped because we were just too late and they were closing the door.
Right.
And I said, but, it's not my fault. and anyway, Matt eventually...
Well, of course it wouldn't be your fault. So Did you blame him?
No, this is great. Hear the story. Matt eventually joins me and, we've missed the plane and all that. So I then decided to blame Lufthansa.
Right.
And I went up and I said, what do you think you're playing at? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, look, you took so long checking our electronic equipment. You stopped us getting on the plane. We missed the plane. What are we going to do? I didn't realise there's a plane every hour back to London, so it didn't really matter, you know.
Yeah, but that could have been, the next one could have been full.
No, but anyway, listen, get this. So they said, oh, we're really sorry, sir. And they gave us some vouchers to go back to the bar and have some free drinks. And when the time...
Just where you didn't need to go.
By the time we got back and we made sure we were on time this time, we got a full apology from the supervisor saying, Mr. Parry, we are very sorry that you've delayed getting onto the flight because the people who check the electronic equipment on your radio show...
You're turning into a Dutchman
No.
It was Louis van Gaal.
No, they take too long to examine equipment. I issue the big apology and the upgrade to London with free food and drink.
Right.
Thank you for flying Lufthansa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so how much more drink did you get on the plane?
Oh, as much as I get down my throat in the hour and a half, 2 hours it took to get to London.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah,
Every one of your stories ends with more drinking and violence.
I don't think so.
This is Talk Sport. Talk Sport, we are the Two Mikes. You like that song?
It's pretty good.
The Passenger.
The Passenger, yeah. Oh, that's good, yeah,
Any
like
idea
airlines.
who it's by? Yeah. Want to listen to the voice?
No, I'm just trying to work out who sung it. Sounds a bit country-ish to me.
Country-ish?
Country-ish, am I on the right track?
Well, you're in the right country, but it's not really country, if you know what I mean.
Is it the Doobie Brothers?
No.
Okay.
It's Iggy Pop.
Oh, Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
I saw a piece on him today. He's got like a really emasculated body, isn't he?
Well, he's very skinny.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That would be on account of all the speed that he took all his life.
Yeah, that's
right.
He
didn't eat for about 30
drugs,
years.
Yeah. Do you know one thing I was impressed about in Cardiff?
I saw him in live once, actually. Iggy Pop. He was brilliant.
Where?
It was at Bath University. In fact, we booked him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was he in those days, then?
What do you mean, what was he?
Well,
it was Iggy Pop and the Stooges for a while.
I was about to say, I had a band with him, did
he? Yeah, Iggy Pop and the Stooges.
Did he ever like...
He always does... Maybe we should do a show like this.
Yeah.
He always does a show stripped to the waist, no shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I won't be doing that.
And then he was doing crowd surfing before anybody else did it.
What's that?
Well, it's when you throw yourself into the crowd, everybody just puts their hands up and you're sort of carried around.
What happens if they don't?
Well, they never don't. They always do.
I mean, you could lose all your teeth, your face and everything.
No.
I mean, it takes a lot of people to support a body hurling itself from a height towards you.
Well, not his body. He weighs about 2 stone.
Yeah. Now, listen, one of the things that I thought was impressive about Cardiff was the way that Uber taxis responded to our requests.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but actually it wasn't Uber.
Hey?
We didn't use Uber.
I thought Emma got onto the phone and through Uber we got a taxi.
No, she tried that. And when we first checked it, it looked like there was one 6 minutes away.
Because the taxi that took us...
The second time she checked it, there was no cars. So I think we decided they only had about 2 cars there. So, in fact, we used a regular taxi company.
Nevertheless, but the taxi that took us to the venue from the hotel...
Yeah.
£3.70, I couldn't believe it.
£3.40.
£3.40,
yeah.
It was incredible.
I know. I thought when he got out, and I asked him how much it was, I thought he was going to say about 10 quid. But I think that's just because of the thing.
I thought it was very mean of you to take any change out of a fiver.
I gave him a fiver.
Yeah, but you took change from
him. No, I didn't. I gave him coins. I gave him £5 in coins. You plank.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, listen.
When are you going to stop telling lies?
Listen, the reason I was going to tell you about this is because you swear by Uber, don't you?
No.
I thought you did.
I never use Uber.
I thought you had an app that used Uber.
No, I don't use them.
Who uses it then?
I never use Uber.
Doesn't your daughter use it, Emma?
Occasionally, yeah.
They're supposed to be very efficient.
Well, see, people who use them say they're very cheap.
Right.
We know about the arguments that people have about them.
Now, the point is that black cabs, right, and traditional taxi firms have been moaning on about it for ages.
Yeah.
Well, my information is, from one of the journals I've read, is that there's going to be an opposition organisation set up to counter Uber.
What do you mean?
Well, there's going to be a taxi war. I mean,
there's already a taxi war.
No, the black cabs are not an Uber, right?
No, of course not.
No. Well, there's going to be a new organisation set up which is going to include black cabs, which is going to...
Well, black cabs are always on their own. They're never going to be in association with anybody else.
No, they are. I'm telling you, I found the information.
Well, what's the information?
The information is that there's going to be a new app which is issued, right?
Yeah.
Which makes black cabs now as accessible and possibly as cheap as Uber.
But they've already got one of those. They've got an app called Halo.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, which is basically the same thing, where you go... I mean, there's a couple of them. You go on... There's a black taxi app in London. It's a very London story, this, by the way, because I don't know whether they'll be able to do it all over the country.
No, this is starting where Uber started in San Francisco, right?
In San Francisco? Well, we don't live in San Francisco.
If you go...
How is this going to help us? Well, how's that going to help black cabs?
Well, what's going to help you is because if you get an app called the Car Who...
Yeah.
Uber operates in more than 20 towns and cities in Britain.
Yeah.
Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, Leeds, London. More than 25,000 registered drivers. Criticised for undercutting black taxis and minicabs, leading to claims that the company is expanding with no proper regulation.
Yeah.
Now, a new app, the Car Hoop, is being set up to try and counter this, OK?
Yeah. The Car Hoop.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, black cabs have got their own app in London called Halo. Yeah. Which means that you can basically go onto an app and try and get the nearest taxi to come to you, right? And that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
This may well be new in the sense that it's now going to incorporate other, but I can't imagine that what they're describing is anything but Uber will make black cab drivers get into bed with minicab drivers, because they don't like minicab drivers either.
Well, I know that, but I think
because they're always complaining, for example, about the fact that if they see a minicab picking somebody up on the street, which has previously not been arranged,
exactly,
then that's part of the problem.
Yes, it is.
That is the difficulty. Now, I've got something far more pressing to tell you about, because I've had this NHS heart failure document sent to me by a guy called Abu, who says he's concerned about hearing you cough.
Oh, yes.
Because it basically says the symptoms of heart failure can vary from person to person. The main symptoms are breathlessness, extreme tiredness and ankle swelling, which may extend up... Now, you've told me about ankle swelling before.
Sure, yeah.
Now, it also says it's possible to have both emphysema and heart failure.
Yes.
So both can cause breathlessness and, of course, a persistent cough.
Yes.
Now, you've got a persistent cough.
That's because I've got the flu.
No, it's not. You haven't got the flu.
I have.
You've got heart failure.
Well, I've always had heart failure.
No, well, if you've got heart failure, then it must be failing worse if you've got a persistent cough.
No, it's not, because only recently...
It says you should inform your GP if you develop any new symptoms.
No, I'm on top of this because I recently saw Dr. Nicholas Banner, who's one of the world's...
Yeah, but you didn't have a cough then.
No, I didn't. No, it's true. But I've literally, I remember being on a train. I've told you this about 10 days ago, and some filthy individual was sitting in the corner, and he was literally sneezing and coughing without a handkerchief. Right? Yeah. It was disgusting. Yeah. And people all around him were, arching away from him, trying to cover their faces and all that. And all I could do was turn my back and put my hands over my head and hope that none of these germs reached me. And then for about a week, they didn't, and I thought, it's fine. But then I suddenly... excuse me. No, it's true. I developed this out of the blue.
And now you're going to give it to me.
Well, I can't help that.
Well, you can.
I developed this out of the blue, and it was on. It was for the previous few days. I hadn't been on a train. Yeah. I hadn't been out in a crowd in public. I'd either travelled in my car or I'd been out in the fresh air or something like that. And that's where I got it from, and I'm afraid that's what happens in the modern world.
How about this from Glenn Arnold, who says, it was a shame Porky didn't pull a tongue muscle, as he's not telling much truth tonight.
Oh, really? Well, that's only what you say.
Nico says, what's wrong with Porky tonight? All he's done since I tuned in is show off about his expensive purchases and say bad stuff about you.
No, I'm not
that's
showing
all he ever
does.
anything.
I'm not showing anything.
Stuart says, Porky's on the wine gums. As for probiotic food, my dad told me never to dabble with Yakult. Did you get it?
The occult.
Yeah.
Oh, quite. That's funny.
And John from Prestatyn says, good grief, it sounds like the Benylin is well and truly worn off.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know about that.
Well.
Listen, all those bottles of wine that you were drinking over the weekend, right, would you pay £250.80 for a bottle of beer?
What?
Britain's priciest pint.
No.
Vintage wines have long been an investment. We all knew that, right?
Yeah, but I don't invest in wine. I drink it.
For wealthy connoisseurs, you do. Now,
no, I don't invest in it.
Now, there's a £250.80 bottle of beer. It's the Price's Pint. It's produced by Fuller's. It's called the 1997 Vintage Ale, and it can be bought online or at Fuller's pubs.
I wouldn't drink any beer that Fuller's made, even if it was £250.
You won't believe the percent. What's the percentage of beer we normally drink? 4.1, 4.2?
Yeah, between 3.5 and 5, usually, isn't it?
Right. right, this is... I'm not sure what this story's about. It says the beer is an eye-watering 6,032%.
What?
Oh, no, sorry, that's not the...
It can't be 6,000%.
Dearer. 6,032% dearer than the brewer's £4.9 vintage 2016 ale.
I remember when I was a teenager... And I used to drink Carlsberg Special Brew because that was kind of the drink of the time.
Yes.
But I always wanted to try. There was one beer that was apparently the strongest beer around at the time.
Yeah.
It was called something like Russian Stout.
You sure it wasn't barley wine?
No.
Because in my day it was barley wine, and it was so strong. It was like drinking sort of whiskey.
Yeah, no, that was like fortified wine. No, this was a beer because there was a pub in Golders Green I used to walk past on my way to Finchley where I was going out with a girl. And one of the bottles they had in the window, which when I never went into the pub, that was Russian Stout.
Right.
Or Russian Imperial something or other, and it was meant to be really strong.
Don't know that
it
one.
was like 14 or 15%.
Don't know that one.
As opposed to 5%.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you'd ever tried it.
No, I've never tried that, no.
All right.
I mean, I'm only a beer man for about 2 or 3 beers, and then it's too voluminous.
Yeah, you can't drink that
much.
No,
can't drink it.
No.
I like a Peregrine, what's it called? Peroni. I like a Peroni and lime at this time of the year when the weather's good.
Peroni and lime?
Yeah, a pint of Peroni lager and lime. Excellent. 2 pints of that, fine, no problem. But what's your problem?
Why are you going on about it?
Because I haven't had a drink for about a week. How much did I drink in Cardiff?
What do you mean you haven't had a drink
How
for a
much
week?
did I drink in Cardiff?
When you say you haven't had a drink...
How much did I drink in Cardiff?
Not very much by your standards.
Nothing.
Well, not
Thank
nothing.
You.
No, you had a brandy at the hotel.
I had one brandy to settle my stomach because I was feeling
you had
a little
wine on
dodgy.
the stage.
I had wine on the stage. Didn't drink it.
You had wine in the dressing room.
Didn't drink
you had some of it.
It touched my lips. That was all.
Your definition of not drinking is not drinking very much.
No.
Is it not?
I have not touched it.
And you're saying you haven't had a drink for a week?
Not for a week.
Did we not have a drink last Friday?
No, we didn't because we were going away on Saturday morning.
True. Did we not have a drink on Thursday?
We had a drink on Thursday, but that was purely work-related, if you remember.
Well, it's still a drink, though.
I said, in fact, when we made our video about Jay Rayner.
That's right. Don't mention his name.
So it was a prop.
No, it wasn't
It was a prop for the video.
Rubbish.
Catch the video on 2 Mics TV.
And now it's time for the winners and losers. This is Talk Sport, and of course, it is that time. It's Monday night into Tuesday morning. It's winners and losers time, and we haven't discussed it, but are you happy to go first with your losers?
I'm happy to go first with my losers.
Well, why don't you kick it off then with your 3 losers of the weekend?
Okay, mine are very strong this week.
Are they?
Even though I say it myself, okay? Very.
You say that every week.
No, they're very strong.
It's as if you have no critical faculty.
They're very strong, okay?
Yeah.
Right, my first loser, I'm afraid, has to be Rafa Benitez.
Okay.
And that is because he labelled Everton the small club many years ago, 9 years ago actually, after a game at Anfield. It was 0-0.
Yeah.
And when asked afterwards, he was frustrated that he dropped 2 points at home in his bid to win a Premier League title for Liverpool. And he said, well, when small clubs come here, they park the bus, Caused outrage on Merseyside, but he repeated it 4 years later. And now he's in the position where he's hugely embarrassed because though Everton will not do him a favour, he wishes Everton would do him a favour by beating Sunderland tonight to help Newcastle retain their position in the Premier League, which is looking increasingly unlikely.
Isn't that tomorrow night?
I beg your pardon, it's tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Yeah.
Sorry,
No, you're right.
No, you're
right. Right, so Rafa Benitez is my first, right?
Right.
Now, my second loser is a guy called Bernard Tomic, okay?
Yeah, he's a tennis player.
This man's a tennis player. And this man was in the Madrid Masters first round match against Fabio Fognini, okay?
Was he?
He was losing heavily.
Wow. No, you were such a big tennis fan.
I am. I saw this. He was losing heavily, and when his opponent, Fognini, was serving for match point, okay, he turned his racket around and pointed the handle at the net, indicating he wasn't going to return the serve. So the serve took place anyway, and it was given.
Yeah.
And
he's got a bit of previous Tomic, hasn't he?
And he lost the match. Afterwards, when asked why did you do that, because, it ruined it as a spectacle, he said, I don't care about match points anymore. He said, would you care if you were 23 and worth over $10 million like I am? That is disgusting.
What a plonker.
absolutely should be banned. He's ranked 22 in the world, and he should be banned from playing for having that attitude and saying that, OK?
All right.
Total loser. And my third loser is not even on this planet yet.
Really?
OK?
And who's that then?
I'll tell you who that is. My third loser...
The alien?
No, my third loser is the child-to-be to Russell Brand.
Oh, yeah.
OK? What we have discovered today is that so-called Romeo, Russell Brand, is going to be a father for the first time.
Yes.
His partner is a lady called Laura Gallagher.
But surely because he's successful, wealthy, and somebody to be admired in this country, any child of his, as far as you're concerned, would be the sort of person that you would look up to.
His partner, Laura Gallagher, is 27. She's 5 months pregnant. And Brand, who is 40, is said, I'm counting the days to the birth. I happen to believe...
Well, but he's all of the things that you say are things to be admired. He's very successful. He's very wealthy. He has the opportunity to provide a child with a perfect upbringing.
I happen
How
to
does
believe...
that make the kid a loser?
I happen to believe, excuse me, that he is a complete hypocrite. He's a champagne socialist.
Yeah, but he's wealthy and successful, so why don't you like him?
He's a ridiculously ill-informed revolutionary. He's a publicity seeker.
Right.
He's a poor actor. He's made some money of that.
He's made a lot of money.
I agree. But I think his lifestyle is despicable. He's been a mass Rogeriser, which is no way that you prepare for parenthood.
How would you know?
No matter how many years later, because I've never been a mass Rogeriser on his scale.
Yeah, but you've also never been a parent.
Exactly.
So how do you know how to prepare for it?
And in my view, any child that's going to be born to Russell Brand as a father is a very unlucky child, because the man's life pattern so far has been so unstable, nobody knows what sort of firm parenthood principles he will bring to that child's life. I commend my three choices to the House.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, you mentioned tennis. I've also got a loser from the world of tennis.
Right.
And it's Amelie Mauresmo, who is, of course, the coach of Andy Murray, or was the coach of Andy Murray up until yesterday, when they decided to part company. The reason that she's a loser is that she was appointed as soon as Ivan Lendl left the Murray sort of tribe, as it were. And he hasn't won anything. I mean, yes, he's won one or two little tournaments, but he hasn't won any more Grand Slams.
Yes.
He won fantastically under Ivan Lendl the Olympics gold medal, and he won the US Open and Wimbledon, of course, as well.
This is all true.
And as soon as she came in, he hasn't won anything. So I think she has to be branded a loser, because Andy Murray undoubtedly is a winner.
Yes.
And he'll probably win more Grand Slams. But without her, I think that's a step in the right direction.
I'm sorry to have to point out, I was going to nominate her as well, until I found out that her percentage win rate with Murray is 79.
Doesn't matter.
And Ivan Lendl's was 75.
It doesn't matter.
So she actually won. She was a coach in charge of more winning games.
That's why statistics are wrong to quote in any situation, because you can't name one of those tournaments that he won, whereas he hasn't won a Grand Slam. So therefore, you can win small trophies. I mean, you yourself have won the Butlins Boxing Championship at the age of 6. It proves nothing at all.
Excuse me.
My second losers are the Blackpool fans. The poor Blackpool fans who've been through a terrible time in the last few years, ever since the Oyston family took over, Carl Oyston in particular. They've now been relegated down to Division 2, right, lower or faster than any other team in the history of football apart from Portsmouth, and only Portsmouth because they had so many financial problems. I mean, Blackpool don't have financial problems, but the fans have stopped going. The fans have decided that they're not going to bother now going to football matches at places like, I think, Rochdale, where they have maybe crowds of 500.
Well, why are they losers? Aren't they winners because they've stood by their club through thick and thin?
No, because they're being punished every single day of their lives by this ridiculous man, Carl Oyston, who's ruining their club, and it seems that nobody can do anything about it, which I think is the worst part of it all. And my final loser, of course, is Amir Khan, who decided that he was going to fight Canelo at the weekend. He
move
was
up
going to
2
be
grades.
It was going to be his move up 2 grades. He was going to be able to be the big I am in America. Once again, his attempt to do so has completely failed. Floyd Mayweather pretended he was going to fight him, then didn't. We spoke to Gareth A. Davis last week about this. Now that he's lost, I don't think he's going to ever make it in America.
Right.
So those are my three. It's Amelie Mauresmo, Blackpool fans, and of course Amir Khan, who is probably one of the biggest losers of the weekend. Let's have the winners.
Okay.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
So I'm going to go first with 3 winners.
Okay.
I have to say, Sunderland playing Everton tomorrow night, as you said. They're not safe yet. Some Sunderland fans are worried that you may have given them the old Porky jinx by saying you think they're going to be. But I'm going to nominate Jermaine Defoe, who scored the winning goal against Chelsea at the weekend. Because not only did he get them a very valuable 3 points in one of the games in hand that they've got, and may have done exactly what is required for them to stay up. But he's catapulted himself back into now recognition again, possibly for the England job. And with Danny Welbeck possibly being injured, who knows if Jermaine Defoe has had the season that he's had, whether he might even go and be a great success in the Euros because he's on such good form. My second one is Luis Suarez, who, thanks to some more goals at the weekend, has now scored 56 goals in 51 games in this season for Barcelona. And it looks very much as though with only one game to go, they've done enough to win the La Liga title. More extraordinary is this statistic, right? 11 goals in his last 4 games. Now, I don't know of anyone who's ever scored 11 goals in 4 games anywhere, but in La Liga, which is not as easy a league as people make it out, it's quite extraordinary. And do you know it's the same number of goals, 11, that Aston Villa scored all season.
Is that right?
And he scored 11 goals in his last 4 games. And he is now being hailed as, without question, the greatest striker currently playing in the world.
Is that right?
He's got more goals than Ronaldo.
Yes.
He's scored more. He's got more assists than Ronaldo. I mean, the guy's just absolutely an enthralling player.
Yes.
And as much as some people didn't like what happened when he was here, he's one of my winners.
Mm-hmm.
And my final winner is obviously very, very clear, I think, the highlight of the weekend. I'm sorry that it was against Everton. Have a listen to this. Just amazing. Andrea Bocelli, or Andrea Botticelli, as you called him last week on the afternoon show.
Yes,
I don't think I defy anyone to watch that moment when Bocelli's up there with Claudio Ranieri. Italian style takes over Leicester, the King Power Stadium. The world watches as the team that everybody wanted to win the league actually won the league.
Yes.
And I just thought it was a brilliant moment. And for me, the moment of the season, really. Andrea Bocelli, Luis Suarez and Jermaine Defoe.
Okay, fine. Okay, I think the singer one is, I don't know. Well, okay.
Well, you have no soul, so you probably didn't get it.
Well,
You didn't enjoy that?
Yeah, it was okay, but I mean...
You thought it was okay?
But I mean, Nuss and Dormer first came to us in 1990. But anyway, look, no problem. I'll whip through mine very quickly, okay? I was going to say Jermaine Defoe, so that's fine. You've taken that. That's fair enough. You went first. My first winner is Patrick Roberts. Patrick Roberts is the young striker on loan at Celtic from Manchester City. He scored 5 goals in the last 9 games since he's been there, and he's now Celtic's 3rd highest scorer of the season, okay?
Celtic?
Yes.
Why are you going for Scottish football?
Because this lad is English, right? He was signed by Fulham. He was bought by Manchester City for 12 million quid. Manchester City have had a dreadful season. Right. He's been trying to knock on the door of the first team. He couldn't get in. 19 years of age, went to Celtic, and he has scored 5 goals in 9 games and sealed Celtic's season for them. Okay. What was left of it, okay?
How many goals?
5 in 9.
5 in 9?
Yeah, that's every other game.
And Suarez has scored 11 in 4.
Well, I'm not talking about Suarez. I'm talking about this lad at 19 years of age.
By comparison.
No, there's no comparison. You look at the circumstances.
You're quite right. There is no comparison.
Exactly. Look at the circumstances. Now then, my second one is Nigel Clough. Nigel Clough, who was written off in previous jobs. They said he didn't have it, Nottingham Forest and all that. He has gone to Burton, got Burton promoted. It's the second team he's ever got promoted. They're into the Championship. A little team like Burton, who used to be non-league, and he managed them then when they were non-league. Burton is, of course, most famous for producing beer. It now produces great football clubs. Nigel Clough, his father, smiling down from heaven, can be proud of him, OK? And my third one... excuse me. And I think this will seal it.
You put yourself in as a winner for managing to get through this show without dying.
That's a good point. And I think this will seal it. Suran Jones. the actress who last night won the BAFTA Award for Best Actress.
Oh, yeah.
During all the Porky Vision reviews, which I did, I said consistently, in her role as Dr. Foster, she was the best actress I'd ever seen. In her role in Scott and Bailey as a police detective, she was the best actress I've ever seen. Everything I said about her has now been justified. She is the top actress in the world at the moment, having won the BAFTA Award. That, to me, shows magnificent perception for a magnificent actress. I commend my...
Perception?
Yes.
Perception by whom?
Me. And I commend my...
Perception by you?
I commend my 3 choices to the House.
Them? Commend who?
What?
What do you commend?
My 3 choices to the House.
OK.
Thank you.
Well, I don't commend mine. I recommend mine.
Mm-hmm.
That's winners and losers. Muscle seems to have repaired itself in time for you to sort of puff your chest out to this.
What's that, sorry?
I said your pulled muscle seems to have repaired itself to the point where you can puff your chest out listening to this.
No. No.
Well, you look like you're puffing your chest out.
Well, didn't you... Excuse me. Did you not notice yesterday...
No, you carried out on a stretcher.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Excuse me, sorry. Did you not notice yesterday that there was a big parade in Red Square in Russia?
I did. In fact, our correspondent there, or our Twitter correspondent, Iron Lion, who spends an awful lot of time in Moscow, he hasn't really explained why he's there.
What's his name?
Well, his Twitter handle is Iron Lion.
Iron Lion, yeah.
And he's working in Moscow at the moment.
Excuse me.
And he actually sent a picture, because he was at the parade, of Putin walking through it.
Well, that's right. Now, what...
Did you see that story, actually? I think it was last week. I meant to bring it up, but I don't think we got around to it. Where they're offering people free land in a part of Siberia.
Yes.
In Russia, if you go out and live there.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I thought you might have applied.
Well, no, but I mean, I wouldn't mind applying. It's like the Wild West. If you go and generate the land yourself and turn it into a prosperous part of the world, you literally reap the rewards, OK?
Yeah.
Now, also, I don't know if you noticed, but in the parade yesterday, Mr. Putin introduced a new wing of the army, which were like Colonel Gaddafi-style beauty queens.
Oh, really? No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, who were all dressed up as the military and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I can't believe that they're soldiers.
Well, presumably they're part of the military in some way, shape or form. Well,
they must be, but they can't be soldiers. I mean, they were all literally very, beautiful Russian women dressed in military uniforms marching along. But the reason I mention all that is because, according to international contacts I have...
Yeah.
Figures about...
What, you mean the Admiral down in the old Sea Scouts?
I can't get into it. But public approval ratings for world leaders show that Mr. Putin is shooting up the list of most admired men and women in the world, OK?
Well, that depends who you ask, I suppose, doesn't it?
What?
That depends who you ask.
No.
I mean, if you ask people in North Korea who's their favourite world leader, bizarrely 100% of them will say Kim Jong-il.
No.
Kim Jong-un, I should
say. No, this is amongst right-thinking people. And it's a YouGov poll.
Who are right-thinking people?
Well, people who are normal and sensible. So the person who has risen the highest in YouGov rankings of the world's most admired men is President Putin, who has crawled up 6 places to 5th. How about that?
So he was 11th?
Yeah. This is despite Russia's military intervention in Syria. Or given that, YouGov carried out its research across 50 countries, and took into account the Panama Papers revelation about, offshore deals and all that kind of stuff, OK? The biggest faller was the Pope.
Pope.
Right, yeah. Right.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Where was he then?
He went down to... He went way down. And... Hang on. Even though the Pope brokered the deal that enabled Barack Obama to become the first US president to visit Cuba. But virtue has proved to be its own reward because Bill Gates is right at the top.
But he's not a world leader.
Well, these are world figures. These are world figures.
Oh, world figures, OK.
International figures, they're called, OK? Yeah. And I'll read you the list, OK?
So at least one, give us the top 10.
I'm going to give you the top 10.
You're going to do it in descending order?
No, I'm going to do it from the top. Okay?
Should you do it from 10 down to 1?
No, because that sounds like it's a pop chart. It's not.
It is a pop chart.
No, it's not.
It's as meaningless as a pop chart.
No,
in fact, it's not even. It's even more meaningless than a pop chart.
No,
It is.
Right, I'm going to give you this now, right?
Go on.
The number one man is Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Huge score of 11.3.
11.3 out of what? 12?
No.
20?
No. Percentage share of the whole vote.
So 11% of people.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Voted
Second, Barack Obama, 7.1.
It's not exactly a landslide. Is
Third, Xi Jinping, 6.2. He's the leader of China.
Xiaoping, isn't it?
Number 4, Jackie Chan. Is he an actor? Is he an actor? What's the problem?
Jackie Chan is number 4.
Yeah.
And you want me to take this seriously?
Is he an actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's a comedy actor.
Right. Number 5, Stephen Hawking.
Right.
Number 6.
How does Jackie Chan get... So it's been gerrymandered, this.
No, it hasn't.
Jackie Chan fans have obviously gerrymandered the thing and got Jackie Chan in the top 5.
Just listen, will you?
How can Jackie Chan be in there?
Just listen.
All right.
Number 6, Vladimir Putin.
Yeah. He's behind Jackie Chan.
Yeah, that's right, he is.
Yeah.
Number 7,
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Right, he's Google, isn't he?
Facebook,
that's him. Number 8, Dalai Lama. Right?
Do you mean the Dalai Lama?
That's him.
Yeah.
Number 9,
Yeah.
I must admit, I had a bit of trouble working out who these 9 and 10 are. Narendra Modi.
Who?
Narendra Modi.
Isn't it Modi? M-O-H-D-I.
Yeah. Modi.
Isn't that
No, it's Modi, M-O-D-I.
M-O-D-I, yeah. He's an Indian guy, isn't
Is he? Right, okay, good for him. So he's leader of India.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's a rich Indian as opposed to the leader of India.
All right, well, that's... And number 10, Jack Ma.
Jack Ma.
As in, tell me ma, I don't want no tea, no tea.
What?
We're going to Wembley. Tell me ma. It's spelt M-A.
M-A?
Yeah.
Well, like Andrew Ma.
No, M-A. Andrew Ma is M-A-R-R.
Oh, right. Jack Ma.
Jack Ma.
Oh, right.
You want to find out who he is?
He's a Chinese businessman.
Right. Now, the Women's League, you won't believe who's top. You won't believe who's top.
I probably won't.
I'm going to tell you.
Well, Jackie Chan's number 4. Has it not puzzled you as to why Jackie Chan is in there?
The number 1 woman is Angelina Jolie. The Queen is number 2. Hillary Clinton, number 3.
Yeah.
Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, Celine Dion.
Celine Dion?
Yeah, Dion, that's right. Malala Yousafzai, whoever that is.
Okay.
Angela Merkel,
Yeah.
the German lady.
Yeah.
Aung San
Chancellor.
Suu Kyi, I think she's in Cambodia, isn't she, in jail or something? And then, number 10...
You think about Burma?
Yeah, Burma, that's right. And then number 10...
Been renamed.
Number 10, brilliantly, Sandra Bullock.
The woman from Speed. This is Talk Sport. Talk Sport, we are the 2 mics. Tomorrow night, of course, it's Ask Porky. So we'll be asking you for your questions and your dilemmas and anything that you might want solved, because he'll be here to help tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Hoping that, of course, his cough has somehow got better.
Well, I
between
hope
now and then.
I hope so.
And then we'll have a Porky quiz. We'll have to worry about that tomorrow as to what we should do. Here's one from Paul, who says, even as a die-hard Porky voter each week, I can't vote for those trash picks. MG wins this time.
What's that? What did he say?
He says, even as a die-hard Porky voter each week, I can't vote for those trash picks.
Which trash picks?
Well, presumably all of them.
No, they're ridiculous. No. My losers were the best I've ever come up with.
Well, Chris says Patrick Roberts missed an open goal in the recent Old Firm game. Unknowledgeable and misinformed plank.
No, rubbish. He's the new star of Celtic.
Here's one from Steve. He says, I thought the nominations had to be alive.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, you nominated somebody who's not alive.
Oh, rubbish. The child is 4 months...
I see. Oh, you're taking
growth.
so you're taking the sort of Christian right-wing view on this one, are you?
No, I'm just taking the view
that he's alive on the basis that he may be an embryo, but, he still is a life worth saving.
But the child is life. That's right, yeah.
Okay. How about this from Oliver? To be fair, the world is much more wary of Jackie Chan than Vladimir Putin.
Yes, that's right, yeah, I totally agree.
Anyway, I can give you an update on the current score if you wish.
No, I don't wish to, no.
You don't want to know?
Don't need to know. I know which way it's going. Don't worry about that,
Okay. And Jay wants to tell you that Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of India.
Yes, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
You knew that.
No, it was just a momentarily lapse. Yes.
A momentary lapse, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go on,
right.
tell us who's winning and losing then. Go on.
Well, at the moment, having had only 67 votes cast, it's 64-36.
In my favour?
No.
What do you mean?
It's not in your favour.
Don't be ridiculous.
Well, you want me to show you?
No, I don't need to... Excuse me, see that?
Roy says, Porky sounds so proud of Vladimir Putin. Maybe he gets a few more rubles if he praises his leader on the radio.
Oh, yeah, and where to get the rubles from, eh?
Oh, I don't know where
Some
you get them from.
offshore blinking account.
Here's one from David. Actually, I meant to mention this when we were talking earlier because it was David's suggestion that the penalty should be taken with no goalkeeper, right?
Yes.
And when we dismissed that idea as rather silly,
yes.
He then sent in a tweet saying, well, who would be the goal scorer for the record book, which is an interesting one. I suppose you'd have to give the goal to the guy whose shot was stopped by the hand.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
Just give it to them. Yeah. But he also says he was in the music business a long time ago, and he says in 1979 I was in charge of the refreshments at an Iggy Pop record store signing.
Oh, yes.
He polished off 2 bottles of Jack Daniels.
What, during one
during one
concert?
signing. No,
Really?
during a book
signing.
A record signing.
I'd love to see the difference in the signature from the moment he started.
Probably none at all.
To the moment he ended after 2 bottles of Jack Daniels.
I mean, probably not at all. I mean, most of these guys could do that all day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lord Rallo says, tuned in late tonight, mates, but it sounds like the Porky Plague has returned. Poor MG will be sick by Wednesday.
Well, you never know. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it,
And on the Andrea
we need
Bocelli...
new antibiotics, that's what we need, stronger ones.
You need to go and see...
Why haven't we got more medical research money?
You don't need money.
Yeah,
you're already a drain on the NHS.
No, I'm not. I'm worth keeping alive.
Yeah, no, you're not.
I am.
You're not worth keeping alive. Well said, MG, says Steve. The best moment of the week was that Andrea Bocelli thing, especially the Win Again lyric.
Rubbish.
MG wins it hands down. Best nomination since MG's mum.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, pulling the heartstrings again.
Not at all.
Wimpish behaviour.
I can't believe you said you watched it and you were not moved by it.
Vote Porky.
You must have the heart of a stone.
Vote for the man with the courage to say it how it is.
Don't forget to follow the 2 Mics at the 2 Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for 2 Mics TV.
We got a full apology from the supervisor saying, Mr. Parry, we are very sorry that you've delayed getting onto the flight because the people who check the electronic equipment on your radio show...
He's turned into a Dutchman
No.
It was Louis van Gaal.
No, they take too long to examine equipment. I issue the big apology and the upgrade to London with free food and drink.
Right.
Thank you for flying Lufthansa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so how much more drink did you get on the plane?
Oh, as much as I get down my throat in the hour and a half, 2 hours it took to get to London.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah,
Every one of your stories ends with more drinking and violence.
I don't think so.
This is Talk Sport.